Shatter the Vain, a podcast about vainglory.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Alright, welcome back, VGL North America. It is this time we have the first matchup of the night. Alliance versus Vertigo, seed 1 versus seed number 2. And of course, Rome is still with us here, our analyst, and tuned in live from Canada. Still with us, so thanks a lot for your great insight, by the way, to all the teams and all the strategy. I think that's very helpful, and everyone likes it because it's pretty much on point, especially in at the live championships in North America and Europe. It was pretty crazy. So Alliance versus Vertigo Black. Let's have a look at the roster, and then Rome, my question to you is actually, what do you think here of this match? Who are the key persons to watch out, and why is that?
With these two matches coming up, let's first take a look at the breaking down these teams individually. On the side of Team Alliance, we have the first qualifiers last season, the champions, they won. And then they went over to VIPL and they destroyed their competition. And the thing was, they came into that VIPL, like, although they had high hopes, we saw how much they grew as a team. And this was one of the major factors that did show the outcome and how they placed in that first position. With all that practice has been going on, the things that I commend them for is not only are they able to play to their heroes' fullest extent in terms of mechanics-wise, but their drafting phase has always been on point. And coming out of that, you have to give props to Flash X, who's been always controlling how well their drafting is, how in terms of strategizing against their opponents, researching their opponents. And today, I think that's going to be one of his greatest challenges. We're looking at a Vertigo team who's done extremely well. Like, watching their games yesterday, I was so impressed with how well they've been able to change their play style to adapt with the ongoing meta. In previous patches, we see a lot of them playing, a lot of their teams playing a lot of passive compositions where they rely on late game heroes, playing passively in that early game. But now, they totally changed it up. They made their playstyle so diverse where they're running very strong early game compositions and they've been executing it very well. Coming out of Vertigo today is what I want to see is them playing individually, being able to play their heroes to the fullest extent. Like, a good example of that would be to look at I Love Joseph on the Alliance team and how he's able to dive heroes and always making it out alive. This is one of the key aspects that if Vertigo Black is able to secure and master in this short amount of time, they do have a very good chance against this Alliance team.
Alright, very interesting. And we do have, actually, since we're running a little bit slightly late, and Alliance and Vertigo Black, they do want to kick this off. So I would suggest let's jump over into the ban and picks and see what those teams went for. The first ban coming out of Vertigo Black is a Black Feather, and on the other side we do see Alliance kicking out of this matchup Koshka.
This actually very good on their end. Ideally, what Alliance would have done was that I would ban out something else and try and secure that Koshka. But the thing is, like I said about Flash, he has studied this Vertigo team and how they've been playing Koshka all through yesterday and previous matches in this tournament. So with them banning out that Koshka, they're trying to push Vertigo towards a later skill and comp. Even though they're very good at it, they don't want that early jungle pressure. So then what they're going to do on the Alliance side is they're going to try and secure themselves something very strong in the jungle early game. Probably, perhaps a Kestrel would be very ideal for them. Or if the other team grabs a Kestrel, they'll opt out, grab a Glaive or grab a Jewel, followed up by probably a Catherine.
And it is going to be a Sky first pick. And on the other side, we are going to see Arden and Vox for Alliance.
So with that Sky first pick, it's probably something that we haven't seen coming out of Vertigo Black yet. And one of the key players on this team that we do have to watch is Rix. Like, he's played excellently recently, and we can see by the way he grabs that farm up in lane, his CS has always been top notch. He even out-farmed co-eds yesterday in the matches against Gangstar's Polaris. With the our Lions team is they grabbed this Vox. I'm assuming that their last pick is going to be the Kestrel since the other team hasn't picked them yet, but we'll just have to wait to see.
And I am here. I can tell you what happened. It is a Ringo and a Catherine. Coming in for Vertigo Black, obviously. Sorry.
So with Vertigo Black running this Ringo, Catherine, and Sky, they have a very strong early game composition where he's able to try and outplay the Vox in lane. But the problem here is he's also going up against Mixi, who is a very dominant Vox player. And I'm pretty sure, like, if he gets ganked once, the lane's going to start freezing. And this is where the tides is going to turn. And this is where the early game pressure from Vertigo is going to start coming to a halt. They're going to have to be very wise with this, that if Ringo gets ganked in the lane, it's going to be proven troublesome for them later on.
And very interesting, Alliance is going for a Taka. So, what do you think are we going to see on that Taka especially, and whom?
I Love Joseph is going to be playing on this Taka. And he also has that tendency where it's one of his great attributes. You're seeing him dive a lot, especially when we've seen him play Koshka before, and he does the exact same thing with Taka. As long as he's able to get through that early game phase, picking up an item like Tension Bow first will be most beneficial. He's going to be able to, as long as he dodges out Sky's forward barrage, gets up close, he can gap close really well, especially if he keeps his ultimate and his Kaitan up. I think they do have an advantage this game, just because the Alliance team has such a lot of experience playing around these compositions, and they have great execution. What Vertigo Black has to do this game is play very confidently, but they also have to play very smart in the lane. If this Ringo gets caught behind, they're going to have a lot of trouble later on. So I would suggest for them is with Rix Rix probably is playing Ringo, but if he's able to take out his farm and do those quick rotations down to the jungle, they have a great chance of winning.
Thank you very much for that much appreciated insight on both teams. Vertigo Black versus Alliance coming right up together, casted from Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon. So guys, don't go anywhere. After the little trailer, we will be in the Halcyon Folds.
Fold has begun.
All right, and so we are getting underway in the quarterfinals of the North American VGL qualifiers. Vertigo Black taking on Alliance. Our first live look at Alliance in this tournament after they made their way home from claiming the top spot in the VIPL over in Korea. I don't know about you, Forecourt, but I am certainly excited to see them on the fold, especially against this Vertigo Black team who we just saw yesterday be very dominant in the early game, and now they have the prodigal laner Best Chuck NA playing for them.
So there's two really big points here that I want to bring up. The first is world champions. Yes, Alliance, they're here. We're actually watching them. That is, I mean, this is the only team that can, tout that. So that is really massive in terms of a lot of hype going into that. And the second is, yeah, Best Chuck NA is here today. He was absent from his team yesterday. There were some complications, but it's good to see him back here into the fold. He's totally not rumbly. I will give him that one. But Best Chuck coming into this one, I mean, as you said, the early game regression yesterday played out, well, 2-1 by the end of it for Vertigo Black. But now with their star here, how do they match up against the world's best?
And we'll have to see how they do against Mish here, who, if certain individuals are listening, will be very happy to hear me pronounce it properly after a couple of mishaps in the fall season.
I remember that story, but we're not going to get into it now because there's also something here that I want to, really just emphasize is, again, I Love Joseph is going to be on that Taka. And what did we see yesterday with Vaughn C early game stuff? It was some phenomenal Taka play. So now another pick here. There's no Kestrel to, try to take down, but Mixie going to get taken down here. Vixen with that Suri strike, just such a good position. He's going to be able to put up the first kill of the game. But again, I mean, this early game aggression coming out of Vertigo Black, this is what we saw 3 games yesterday of.
Yeah, and Vertigo Black, they are an early game team. This is what they do. So they get that first kill there, and you were talking about the Taka for I Love Joseph. Does still have the target of Best Chuck NA, but Best Chuck NA is doing a very good job right now on this Ringo.
The scout trap! Beowulf stunned him on the scout trap and was able to pick up the kill. Now he has to deal with I Love Joseph here. I'm not entirely confident that Catherine this early on can really stop Joseph from farming, but that was a really big pickup right there for Beowulf. Picking up now 2-0 for kills. Vixen's coming over here as well. There's another stun, looking for the forward barrage as well. I Love Joseph. Did he get those mercenaries? Did he get those creeps? That's a big question, but he's going to die for it. I hope he made that worth it.
Yeah, I believe he got the first one of those. I do believe Vixen actually took the second one, but it's very difficult to be 100% certain. However, that is with the 3-0 kill advantage, there is a very, very deadlocked gold differential despite those 3 kills. So maybe I Love Joseph was actually able to take both of those away in order to keep the gold deadlocked even.
Yeah, 6.3 to just a little over 6.6 now, as we're going to be collapsing up on top of Mixie, and that's going to be a stun. The forward barrage. Vixen is basically just putting the muzzle right up to his forehead, and that is going to be kill number 4 for Vertigo Black. Now, we do have I Love Joseph here in lane, but unfortunately against this double ranged comp, he's not really going to be able to do much in the lane. I mean, Best Chuck and A can take as many pot shots as he wants. They don't have to worry too much about Flash because, well, all right, maybe I'm going to have to eat that one because they do jump him, and they are actually going to get that kill. Flash with the uppercut at the end of it, but I Love Joseph is nearly dead for his trouble. But Beowulf, he's going to have to just use the Merciless Pursuit. He's looking for the counter stun. Doesn't quite find it. Vixen, however, is going to Suri strike forward. He's looking for Flash, but he uses the Vanguard to outposition the forward barrage, and that's the first kill on the board here for Alliance.
Yeah, 4-1, but now trailing a little bit in terms of gold because Vertigo Black, we talk about the fact that they get a lot of kills early on, but they also do a phenomenal job of farming. And right now, they're holding their own. The gold is still, very even with just a slight advantage going over to Vertigo. But looking at Best Chuck right now, sitting on 41 CS compared to the 43 now of Mish. Able to be keeping up in farm with the world champion laner is definitely something that is gonna be beneficial to Vertigo.
All right, so I think I might need another lesson from you here, Mr. Bacon. Mish?
Mm-hmm. Mish.
Mish. All right.
So you basically just ignore the C.
Got it. Mish it is. All right, Alliance fans, we got this on lockdown. But 4-1, Vertigo Black in this lane. I mean, with this double range con, they have this early game pretty much on lockdown themselves. They haven't developed a huge gold lead, but they push up the lane. Now they're all going to be as a 3-man hive mind going into that item shop. If we do venture forward there from Flash and Mish, I mean, they're already not looking super healthy, and we don't have, I Love Joseph. He's off doing his own jungle thing. So this is a good 3-man opportunity to go get that decent payout. They get it, and they're going to get Flash for his trouble as well, because he is going to Vanguard over the wall, but it's a corpse that lands at the feet of Mish.
Yeah, and so definitely not worth it there for Flash X. Tried to get the heroic steal, but it didn't come through, and then also giving up that kill as well. Is going to finally put a little bit of distance between these two teams in terms of gold, as Vertigo takes about 1,000 gold lead here into the 6th minute of the game. There is that tension bow now being picked up by I Love Joseph. But, you know,
6 minutes in.
tension bow is a very early game item. We always talk about that. It's one of the cheaper tier 3 items, and it's being picked up at the same time as a Sorrow Blade and a Frostburn from Vertigo. So not really the best timing, but oh my goodness, Best Chuck NA.
Yeah, I mean, he probably saw that coming as soon as we started moving forward. Looking now for the Beowulf kill to go hand in hand here as Best Chuck NA is out of the fold for just a few more seconds. But Beowulf, he is not looking that great. He's just going to walk right into it. But it's I Love Joseph going for Vixen into the back. Beowulf is still going to be the one to survive, and I eat my words, as it is going to be the Vox by the end of it to pick up the very delayed ace. And Best Chuck NA is now going to be back into it. But that was a 3-0 exchange over the course of several fights.
Yeah, and it really looked like Vertigo there wanted to... Oh, actually, this Hellfire Brew not going to do enough as the... Yeah, that was the Fountain of Renewal being popped by Flash X as soon as they saw the Hellfire Brew coming in. Nice use of that item cooldown to ensure that it didn't pick up a kill. But, you know, Best Chuck NA saving that gold mine from being captured away. However, going back to that fight, it definitely looked like Vertigo Black, Beowulf, and Vixen were just hoping to be able to bait Alliance underneath the turret and win a fight with the help of the turret damage. But that help just wasn't enough. The turret didn't do enough damage for them to actually get the kills there, and they ended up paying for it.
So 5-4, no longer looking like that one-sided here early game, but as you say, they do pick up that gold mine and they do keep it, at least for now. We have to see if we get that payout. I Love Joseph going forward. He will find Beowulf and Vixen. He really wants to jump into this back line. Vixen's going to be the big target. Wait for it goes down, but the big death from above really kind of resetting the aggression. We do now have that gauntlet down, and Beowulf is just has to be skirting those edges. Does not have the reflex. 1 and 2, and now looking for the third under the back turret from Best Chuck NA. No, they're not going to be able to pick him up. I Love Joseph, so very low. He's going to have to use that basket on his head, and he's just looking for that health, looking for to get away from this aggression. But these guys are looking for it as well. They're going right under it again. One more turret shot. I think that's enough. Wow. I Love Joseph is still going to live through all this aggression.
Yeah, and it really does just look like Alliance, the benefit of playing with each other for so long over in Korea, the amount of hours they put in practicing, they know these damage numbers so well. So we see them just constantly going underneath the turret, and I Love Joseph twice there, getting out with just one turret shot left that would have killed him, but able to get out of the aggro range and survive because of it. Twice in a row, right there. Living by the skin of his teeth. But, you know, you have to figure it's all calculated by them. They know what they're doing whenever they go in for these dives.
6 kills, 5. Maybe some of that tournament experience is really starting to come through from Alliance, you know, world champions and all. But Best Chuck NA under his turret, and there he is going to, well, think that he's safe. Flash X is now coming forward. You see Joseph. He's looking to get in that back, and again, it's big damage on top of Best Chuck. That's going to be the death from above. They will actually bring Joseph's low, and the Hellfire finally will connect. Joseph is going to drop here as well, and this is the verge of a 3-0 ace, and Vixen will actually go deep for it. Comes out of the skin of his teeth, but that's now going to be a turret, the 3-man ace, 8 kills to 6, and the regeneration to boot.
Yeah, Vertigo Black, they are not giving up here, and what a strong showing for them. I honestly, looking at this one on paper, figured it was just going to be Alliance kind of rolling over. I knew Vertigo Black was a strong team, but it just looked like Alliance was on a whole other level. But Vertigo Black, they're just playing even stronger of a game than we saw from them yesterday. With Best Chuck NA in the lineup, they do look extremely calculated, as they also got that gold mine payout to come through, as well as taking down that turret. A big swing in the gold, getting them up by about 3,000 here in the 11th minute, as we are just about to eclipse that mark. But it looks like Alliance, they're going to get spotted by this flare, as they were trying to set themselves up a party brush.
As soon as that flare went down, I saw the pulse come out from the Vox. I think he might have been expecting somebody to collapse upon, but the only person really to collapse here is Beowulf. We got 2 range in the back of Best Chuck and Vixen. It's just the Catherine to kind of start things off and get down and dirty with it. But either way, Alliance are not that interested in hanging around too much longer. They do have backs and these jungle camps to go pick up, and you can see Joseph now going to be working his way through it. 11.5 minutes in, and the gold mine hasn't actually flip-flopped yet. If Vertigo Black can keep this for another payout, they're going to be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, Vertigo has been able to hold the gold mine since they captured it initially. It's going to be a while before it does pay out again, but Alliance, they've been putting so much attention into staying grouped up in this lane. Hellfire Brew coming out very early, but they get in on Mish.
Oh, Mish, yeah, just absolutely deleted right there. Again, it's mind games. We saw this yesterday with Von Menace. You jump on one person, then as soon as that early aggression is done, you just swap. What happened here? Hellfire Brew on top of I Love Joseph. We got the Vanguard from the Arden on top of him, and they just destroyed Mish.
Yeah, and with that 3v2 situation, they take advantage of the numbers and take down another turret. Vertigo Black is just playing extremely well in terms of objectives. Like you said, make that one fake out, get the Arden Vanguard to be popped, separate one person from the team, and take them down. Then when you have that advantage, obviously Alliance knows they're not going to be able to fight that 2 versus 3, so they have to back off that turret, and Vertigo Black just takes it. And they've been able to, again, keep control of this gold mine the entire game thus far, keeping a minion candy on it just for good measure. It is going to be paying out in a little over a minute here. I'm not sure if the next payout will actually be from the Kraken spawning or not. Or actually, no, it won't be because 14. Math is hard. I was thinking, 13 minutes about to come up, and then for some reason that recalculated to being we're at 13:50 instead of being at 12:50. So
here's something for you, Mr. Bacon. Mish has Crystal Infusion. We also got that Weapon Infusion on Arden. We'll have to see if they actually pop, and they do. They're going to use it here for these fights, but immediately there goes the Sky. That big power boost now starting to really show. It's going to be Flash just trying to keep up here, but that's it for Best Chuck and A. Now Beowulf, he's going to be the third one to drop. That ace comes out in very quick order, and that is going to be the gold mine now stolen for that decent gold payout as Flash. There we go. Oh, immense. He just got over that little limit. But now I Love Joseph, he's going to be rotating in. He's going to be taking away a lot of these jungle camps. And I'm actually a little surprised that this minion mine here has not been taken. I know you love to harp on that quite a bit, but it's still standing there, Mr. Bacon.
Yeah, and it's been quite a while. It's actually going to get stolen away here. I mean, they did take away the Alliance minion mine, but now Alliance just going to take this one again and get that full payout. As you see, actually, they back away to get it, try and get it tanking onto Flash to get that extra bonus gold. I don't think it actually was successful, so they only got the 200 gold, but that's still 200 gold going over to Mish, this super late game Vox carry, and was honestly the key to that last fight where they were able to pick up the ace. The wait for it just did absolute wonders, and now they're going to be looking for another one.
Yeah, and more infusions are there. Death from above trying to reset the aggression, but Vixen, he's already down under half. Best Chuck into the back as well. That's left Beowulf to his own devices, and in a 3v1 that Catherine did not hold. Mish is now just chasing down, using that Vox, as well as now you can see I Love Joseph. He's looking for it. There's the X-Ratsu and the kill. Vixen is just not going to live through this. I Love Joseph gets stunned up, but these turrets are not going to be able to return kills, and that's another 3-0 exchange going over to the world champs.
And one of my favorite things to talk about this season has been the double Fountain of Renewal. This time you can see it in the inventories of both I Love Joseph and Flash X. They are about 4 to 5 seconds apart from each other on activations. That is absolutely perfect. I constantly see in our previous rounds, teams end up getting this double Fountain of Renewal and using them at the same time. If you have that delay between the fountains being popped, you get so much more effect out of it because of the fact that you have it popped once, you get some regeneration, and once you get back down low again, it pops again, and it makes it so difficult to actually take down a team when they use those activations properly. And we just saw it right there. They were able to survive underneath these turrets for so long. Now they have the Kraken coming in. This could be the final fight.
Well, that turret's going to go down immediately. The gauntlet looks like it's actually stalled up against the Vertigo Black. Best Chuck is already heading back home. Now Vixen low on his as well. The Hellfire Brew just not doing it, and that was enough time for I Love Joseph to get into the back. They take down Vixen. Another turret is gone, and this Kraken is still fairly healthy. We got Best Chuck now trying to just burn it down, but Mish, no fairies, just going to go right in. I Love Joseph immediately takes out Chuck, and that's now just the Catherine here for the defense, and this turret just no longer exists. I cannot see a situation where Alliance doesn't take the win right here as Beowulf gets caught down right on the steps. The Kraken at half, and the Alliance, the first games here in the NA VGL that we've personally seen, just take it in flying fashion.
Yeah, it was very close. I mean, up until a point. Vertigo Black played it extremely well early on, and we're giving them a run for the money. Vertigo Black had the lead for a good portion of this game, but once Mish got a couple items finished on this Vox, namely getting the alternating current as well as the broken myth, those were just the two, those are the two core items of a Vox, and once those were completed, that pretty much spelled the end of things for Vertigo Black. Mish just doing so incredibly well, and of course you can't sleep on Flash X and I Love Joseph either. Their utility that they provided and the damage from I Love Joseph is able to constantly get onto the back lines and constantly get onto Best Chuck and A, keeping him from being able to really put out the amount of damage you want to see on a Ringo. But you still have to give credit to Vertigo Black. They definitely look strong, and they have a chance to make this a 3-game series. I would not be terribly surprised after seeing how they played in Game 1 to see them come back and play even stronger in Game 2. Rome, what do you think?
Yeah, just to quickly touch base on what you just said about how well Vertigo has been playing, and it has to be much recommended. Vertigo Black played extremely well this game. They used their early game pressure, they dominated the map, but the thing that went in the favor of Alliance team is their coordination and their shot calling. We could see the game instantly turn around at the 13-minute mark when both Mixi and Flash X popped those infusions, and what happened from that was they got the ace, they grabbed that gold mine, and the game just started swinging around. With their comp position, they were able to scale out a lot better. They each had a single role, and they broke it down really well here. What I Love Joseph was doing was he was targeting out either any on top of Ringo and Sky, and as long as Mixi kept his consistency in terms of farming, he got his items into that late game, and he just started dominating. Coming into this next game, Vertigo Black is most likely going to place their ban around Mixi. And by all means, that's probably one of the best things that they can do.
Alright, thank you very much, Rom. I totally agree here with that Mish focused ban. So let's see here. Alliance going to start with their ban, and Don John, what are they going to ban here?
Yeah, basically we came back into the party and Flash X just saw that we joined and said, okay, Koshka ban, your turn.
Alright, that's pretty fast. Koshka taken out of this second match here. Secondly, what do we have?
Yeah, and Vertigo Black instantly answered and said, well, okay, so we take out Blackfeather.
Blackfeather and Koshka ban. Rome, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm starting to really understand why the Alliance team has been banning out this Koshka, and it makes a lot of sense because they're getting ready just in case they have to deal with any Skies or any Kestrels, and their combat towards this, their counter pick towards this will be the Taka. So in order to make sure that they don't get outpicked, if they do lock in a Taka and the other team does run a Koshka, it proves like a lot of forward thinking in their head. They planned ahead, a couple strategies, a couple moves, just to make sure that they do have this advantage inside the draft phase. Coming out of the team now, Alliance has so many different heroes under their belt. They can either opt out, grab a Sky first, or they can probably focus on grabbing a roamer, securing a roamer that they can build a composition around.
Alright, so let's see. Alliance having the right to pick first, and what could it be? we have the answer. It is an Arden pick. Pretty conservative start into a draft, isn't it, Rome?
Yeah, like what we said before was because their hero pool is so big, I'm pretty sure like they're gonna grab the Arden, and then their 2 follow-up picks is gonna be prioritized at counter picking the Vertigo Black team. What Vertigo should do this round is, seeing that there is an Arden, they might want to opt out and think that the Alliance team will be like having a strong late game composition, and this is where Vertigo is very strong at. It's one of their strong suits. For them, if they were to grab a Krull this game, which they play very well, I do see that they have a very good chance into the late game, as long as they balance it out and grab a very strong early laner that will help out the Krull transition.
Alright, so Vertigo Black, 2 picks coming in, and that is no one else than Celeste. And who is going with her? Jewel. That is interesting to counter that Arden opening. What are your thoughts on that? I personally didn't see this coming.
The Celeste pick is actually, it's pretty decent on their end, but it's also going to come down to how well she's able to land those skill shots. I think with this current meta and how a lot of these top pro teams are more focused towards mobility, they like to reposition themselves, they like to make quick jumps and quick dives. And Celeste here is also vulnerable, but if she's able to land her core collapse right on time, get the right people, most likely she'll definitely have enough damage to outcome in the game. And we've seen a lot of great laners play the Celeste, especially coming out of like T Tigers would be a good example, where his core collapse would always stun multiple people, and this is one of Celeste's strong suits. Even though she's very vulnerable, as long as her skill shots are landed on time and properly, most likely the team fight will go their way.
Okay. Alliance is building around Arden. Vox together with Sky. And last but not least, Vertigo Black is going for Catherine. So we have Arden, Vox and Sky on Alliance, and Vertigo Black playing on Catherine, Jewel and Celeste. What are your last thoughts before we jump into the second match?
So here with Vertigo Black is they went back into the books, and they're gonna run a triple stun comp. As long as their coordination is right, and if they're able to outmaneuver the Alliance team, they're definitely going to be able to execute somebody from a team match. But they do have quite a bit of a challenge, because on the Alliance team we have Sky and Vox alongside with Arden, who's great in helping them with their mobility. If they're able to dodge out Sky's the Jewel's jump and dodge out the core collapses, I'm pretty sure that they will dig into the backline and they will probably delete Celeste out of the picture instantly.
Okay, thanks for your thoughts. We are ready to kick it off here, going and loading into the fold just now, right away. Alliance versus Vertigo Black it is. Quarterfinals in North America. Vainglory League. It is the first qualifier for the winter season. Everyone wants to play in the Winter Championship Finals, which are having a prize pool $25,000 per region. Let's get a little trailer in, and then no one else than Tasty Bacon and Forecourt Jester will take it away.
Shatter the Vein, a podcast about vainglory.
The battle for the Halcyon Fold.
All right, so we are back for game number 2. Tasty Bacon alongside Forecourt Jester. We'll have to see if Vertigo Black can pull this one back and make it a 3-game series, or if Alliance are going to continue their dominance throughout the North American Winter Qualifiers. They have not dropped a game in their previous 3 matches. We'll see if they can keep that perfect record up here as we get underway.
Best Chuck NA back into that lane now with that Celeste. As we said a little bit earlier, we're going to see what this triple stun comp can actually do. Now, early game aggression actually did favor Vertigo Black last round. It's just kind of, as you said, it was a pretty even game up to a point. So we're going to have to see if they can correct those mistakes this round and go all in to get us into that game number 3.
Yeah, this triple stun comp is something that we saw a lot in the fall qualifiers, like the first qualifier, not even in the second qualifier. It kind of fell off by that point, largely due to the rework on the reflex blocks. However, it is still a very strong composition. Obviously, you can only reflex block so many things, so eventually one of those stuns is going to connect. But the big question is going to be Mish on this box once again. Will he be able to get to that late game and just start decimating the team of Vertigo like we saw in game number 1? And for Vertigo, are they going to have an answer for that?
And it's going to be a lot of questions that we need to get answered this round. Best Chuck NA had a little bit of pressure coming up. Flash X is actually still kind of just sitting around. Not quite babysitting Mish at this point. It's more just getting kind of that solo farm going here for I Love Joseph. And by the way, I mean, last round, I Love Joseph did some fantastic work against the Sky. Now he is the Sky. I'm very curious to see if this is going to be a collapse right now on top of Best Chuck. Joseph just going to be showing himself, looking for the forward barrage in the bush, doesn't find anybody. I guess that's the signal to kind of go hunting.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it is. Now they're going to be moving everyone down into the jungle area, but already you're seeing the vision control from Vertigo Black, really trying to get these scout traps down to know where Alliance is going to be. They're aware of the fact that both teams are pretty much now swapped jungle sides, as Best Chuck NA is getting dropped very low here in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, one sneeze here from Mish can basically take him down. Beowulf, I think they were trying to bait it out, trying to get Mish out of that comfort zone, but unfortunately just nothing really came of it. Now Flash X and Joseph are just swapping the jungle here from Vixen, and Vixen off to his own. I mean, they're a little vulnerable as they are split up this early on. Not a ton of aggression coming out. Now we're showing at least 2, if not all 3 here into the lane. Beowulf is just babysitting it as well. Celeste coming back into it. And as things are said, I mean, 0-0 at 3 minutes in. It's a little bit more passive than what we just saw.
Yeah, definitely a little bit more passive than what we're used to seeing from Vertigo here, as they are, again, this early game team. They're looking for a fight, but the core collapse not going to connect, and that'll be pretty much the end of that one. As once again, Alliance, I Love Joseph and Flash X looking to go into the enemy jungle and steal away these camps. But how is Vertigo going to answer this? They saw this happen thanks to their defensive scout traps. So it looks like they're just going to go do the exact same thing, and Alliance, they're going to see this one happening too.
We did get 2 stuns on top of Mish and brought him down to about half or so. Vixen now just, again, going to be living out of the enemy jungle, but you can say the same from Alliance. You've really just got these things all on lockdown. Now it's going to be a convergence on top of this forward camp, but Vixen is just on the wrong side of reinforcements. Here comes Beowulf and Best Chuck as well. Mish is sort of getting some poke in, but the farm does actually go over to Flash and Flash X and crew, and they just kind of make their exit. So back to the usual story of probably just farming each other's jungle.
Yeah, and so definitely a much more passive game, honestly, from both teams, because even Alliance was making some aggressive plays early on. We do see I Love Joseph and Flash X just waiting for these camps to respawn, and both teams have been just kind of farming up their opposition's jungle, but it does look like Vertigo, they're going to make the first moves onto the mine, and they get themselves a decent gold payout from the gold miner, which means they're also going to have that little bit of extra help with the vision control in the middle of the map, as well as if a fight breaks out in that area. We'll have to see if one does, because there is all 3 members of Alliance here going in. Possibly.
Yeah, but again, like, they got that gold mine right there. If that gets hit, I mean, we're going to have a cherry driven gold miner as part of this fight. Doesn't make it a 2v3 anymore, makes it actually that full 3v3. Vixen is going to be coming in, looking for the stun combo. Doesn't quite land it there on top of Flash, and it looks like Joseph's going to get out of town just fine as well. Now, of course, Mish is poking up and pushing up that lane. He's going to make his exit, because now that he's forced Vertigo Black back to their lane, Vixen is likely not to actually catch him at this point, or, well, yeah, I can't imagine he's going to continue chasing. I mean, those backs are going to be coming up fairly soon. There's farm right in front of him. Yeah, he kind of does need to pick it up at this point. Beowulf now as well. He's just going to take a few pokes, has that Storm Guard, not a problem, and 0-0 will stand.
Yeah, Best Chuck and Mish in this lane going at it with farm. Best Chuck a little bit behind this time, largely due to just the fact that Mish stayed in this lane for most of these roaming situations while Best Chuck was leaving. You do see the tier 3 items gonna start coming out as Flash X gets the first one with that Fountain of Renewal being completed onto Alliance. So advantage over to Alliance if a fight were to break out for having that item. But of course, now we're going to start seeing a couple other tier 3 start being built, but it looks like Vertigo Black, they want to make a move up into this lane.
Yeah, we got level 6s, at least 2 sets on both sides. A lot of congregation going up here. Big stun, doesn't actually stomp the death from above. In fact, Vixen basically just walks right into it. That's going to be a quick kill right there. Now Best Chuck NA going to be dropping low as Harish, able to pick that one up, or well, Flash at that point. But that's going to be breaking the silence, and now a 2-0. Beowulf just going to be able to dodge out against that forward barrage, but this could be a rotation for Goldmine. I think that's what they do want to do. But Beowulf is in hot pursuit. We do got those minion scout traps down as well. Can we actually hold this? Can we defend?
Goldmine is going to be helping out, but I don't know if it's going to be enough with just Beowulf, although it's starting to look like it, but there goes the death from above. They're going to get the kill. They should be able to finish off the Goldmine, but now Vixen is in for the stop. The big red button comes out and gets a double kill. The Goldmine is finally taken, but that is an ace for Vixen. Solo ace with the help of the Goldminer. The Goldmine does go over, but this is going to be a turret, and Vertigo Black definitely getting the better of that trade.
Wow. Now, imagine that the Goldmine had hung on by the skin of his teeth and actually lived through that. Would have been an absolutely flawless play, but a reverse ace on the back of that. Gotta feel good here from Vertigo Black. And that big red button was immaculate. It is a weapon damage Vixen, a weapon damage Jewel. But still, that was just enough, and the range, oh, it was so perfect. Now, Best Chuck NA looking to capitalize a little bit more to go with that streak, but, I mean, he's a little bit too far forward. There's the gauntlet on top of it as well. Mish and crew, they're going to pick up Beowulf. They're so angry about that last fight. And another 2 kills are going to go their way, possibly even this turret now that the Goldmine's on their side.
And Death from above coming down to the turret. Vixen doing what he can to try and clear out those minions, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The turret will fall, but Vixen is getting some serious damage down. That's 1 kill. That's not quite a second. Big red button is still on cooldown, but here comes the Solar Storm. Nope.
If that had hit, oh my word, this game would have just been Von C kind of status right there. But I got to give it to Vixen. That's twice now he's defended out objectives and come ahead in terms of like the counterplay. Now they are going to be rotating down. There's no pressure here coming out from Alliance, so they cannot do what they just had happen to them at the Goldmine. There's no candy on it either. Joseph into the back. He's just going to be picking up his farm business as normal. But by the time the smoke clears, my friend, 1,000 gold still remains in lead here for Alliance.
And definitely an advantage for them, and they do look strong. Obviously, it is Alliance. They are the reigning world champions, but Vertigo Black, what a strong showing that they're putting on here, and definitely putting themselves on the map as a name that has to be worried about in the future going forward, especially if they could keep this roster together, build on this and get the kind of experience that a team like Alliance has under their belt. They would be a very, very scary organization, as they are now just going to be focusing on defending this gold mine, wanting to make sure that Alliance can't take that one away. It is, again, a close game, just 5-4, and like you said, the gold is about 200 difference, but here comes a gauntlet. Start off the fight.
All right, so a gauntlet into a big rocket leap right there. It doesn't look like the big red button's really going to hit its mark. Now Vixen has to get out of town on that one. Now Flash low, Mish low. Best Chuck NA, I'm not entirely too sure, will actually hit anything with that snipe. He's not chasing down up against Mish, although he has a pretty good angle on him at this point. He can pretty much predict exactly where Mish is going to go. Vixen's going to come in looking for the rocket leap as well. Will actually knock him to the side, but do we have a Thunderstrike? Can you make it rain, Vixen? He will. and that turret is just not going to be able to take back a kill. So 1 for 1 by the end of it. These are still pretty even trades, all things considered, and that gold lead is very variable at this point.
Yeah, very curious play there by Best Chuck NA in that fight when they were next to the gold mine. It's pretty much a straight corridor that they were fighting in, and Solar Storm was available for the vast majority of that and wasn't thrown until the very end when it only clipped one member of Alliance. That ultimate could have been used much earlier on and gotten multiple hits and could have possibly changed the way that things went. Obviously, the big red button also didn't quite connect fully either, so a little bit of a missed opportunity there for Vertigo Black. They did still come out of it 1 for 1 when the dust had finally fully settled, but at the end of the day, you know, those little missed opportunities like that could be things that sway a fight. You never know. If that had been an ace, would have likely been another turret being taken and could have Vertigo Black sitting in control of the game, but instead now they are going to have to worry because both I Love Joseph and Mish have finished off their broken mitts.
All right, sometime in the 13-minute range is where we are going to be seeing a big focus on top of that gold miner, because that's the next scheduled payout here for the teams. And if it is going to go into the Vertigo Black pockets, that's actually a really good position for them to start taking a gold lead. Right now, they are down just a little under 1,000, and that's about how much that gold mine will give into them. So if they can keep up with this, you know, equal trading, or at least get a little bit of an advantage, could be really good. But oh, I think we actually stunned Vixen mid-leap right there. Death from above coming out on the back of that gauntlet as well, and Vertigo Black is actually starting to really melt. That big red button from Vixen not really hitting pretty much anybody. Can he take down Mish? He can't, and I Love Joseph off to the side picking up his own kill on top of the Catherine. That is going to be an ace, a shutdown as well. That's some big gold into the pockets of Alliance, and that is going to be 2 on the turret, 1 on the gold miner, and an immense gold payout on top of more gold from the turret's death. This game just got real.
Yeah, I'm afraid we might be seeing for Vertigo Black a repeat of game number 1, where, you know, they definitely hung with Alliance very, very well in the early game and even a bit into the mid game. But once those broken myths are completed, Alliance just, it's like they switch into a whole other gear and just take over. And that's what just happened in that last fight and could potentially be how the rest of this game goes. Obviously, there is still the potential for huge solar storms and, you know, the thunder strikes from Jewel to just melt a target like Mish. But they need to get that CC train onto Mish before too much damage is received, as we do start to see a couple of infusions. Actually, Arden going to be the one picking up the weapon infusion here pretty early on for the Roam to be picking that one up. But, you know, if you have 500 gold and you're worried that a fight is going to be starting up soon, definitely probably the best use of that 500 gold that you could ask for.
Well, this is pretty similar timing to what we just had in the last round. I mean, it was about this time that we had the split in the teams. Alliance started pulling ahead just like they are now, and we do have, as you said, that infusion on top of the Arden yet again. So when it comes to some of these fights, I think it was Breaking Point on Juan from the Angry Little Pandas from our EU finals, and he says, you know, you get some of that damage going, it goes a long way. So having some of these infusions, again, like, is this just experience talking? Is this a preference from Alliance? Or is this just a super strategic kind of pick right here?
Yeah, and you see those gold mines being captured, both of them by Alliance, both of them for full pound. There's a gauntlet going in.
And it has all 3 of them in the middle of it. Now they are getting that stun train on top of Mish, and Mish is now done. He is out of there, but they were going to lose our Celeste on the back of that as well. We had the big red button. Doesn't really actually seem to have brought I Love Joseph to critical levels yet, but it's Flash X with that weapon infusion. He takes down the Jewel. The death from above is not enough to get Beowulf, but the Suri Strike forward and the forward barrage is not only a decent payout because of the Kraken, but another ace going over to the world champions here of Alliance, and this cannot be anything except a Kraken for them. We do not have a Solar Storm from Celeste.
The damage that Arden can do while still building full tank is just not fair to come out of a roam position. To be able to take out Vixen on this red build Jewel almost with ease. Like, it looked like it was, you know, a Fed carry going up against Vixen there. They duked it out, but that is going to be the Kraken, and now double infusions for every member of Alliance with only single infusions on even only 2 members of Vertigo
There's a
Black.
lot
Of
of
course, as soon as I say that,
yeah.
they pick up a couple more. And so now they have, everyone has at least their appropriate infusion to try and make this defense against the Kraken. But if this is looking very similar.
Yeah, definitely the game number 1. 12-6 for kills and about 4,000, 5,000 or so gold. There's the wait for it. Mish going in, bringing Vixen down to half. Beowulf is getting focused down here as well. Stormguard or no, and Chuck, that's Chuck NA. Unfortunately, not really a factor in this. Here comes the snipe, but it only raises right through that Kraken. And one turret down, looking for another. Mish still here, Flash taking out that turret, and this is going to be the 2-0. Mish is still alive, dancing around the Celeste. She can't hit him, and Best Chuck is going to drop for the delayed ace. We are going to end this game with a Kraken and full points going over to Alliance with a 15-6 score and a ridiculous display of power.
Yeah, that was, and it was the same thing from game number 1. Once the broken myth was completed on Mish, the game is just pretty much over. Mish is just so strong into that mid to late game power spike that the broken myth provides on Vox. There's just nothing that can be done. And Best Chuck NA, again, in the early game, was able to keep up, you know, had very similar farm numbers, was down by about 10 CS at one point. I think that was the largest deficit he had up until that late game started, but just never really was able to get going. Vixen did what he could to try and carry this game for Vertigo Black, but just unfortunately not enough in the tank. And you look over at the side of Alliance, you know, look at the gold totals. Aside from Mish, you know, Flash and Joseph have similar gold totals to 2 of the members on Vertigo. So it wasn't like they just completely blew them out of the water, despite the fact that it was, you know, once that broken myth came out, it seemed like it. You know, it was actually still a very close game, but in the end, Alliance just proving why they were able to take that number 1 spot in the VIPL. So Rome, why don't you go ahead and just let us know just a little bit more about that broken myth power spike and why the game just seems to completely turn around once Mish completes that item.
With the broken myth, you have to look at it this way. Even though both of their members did opt out and grab the broken myth, running like a double CP comp, the other team, they do have a chance to like counter build against this, but it can only go so far into the game. Because once these guys have these broken myths, that shield piercing starts to add up. And because of their mobility and the chances that they get to like land their skill shots, Vox just needs auto attacks, and with the Sky, she is so mobile that it's so easy to get deep into the enemy lines. I do have to like really applaud on how Vertigo Black executed the first and the second game. They kept their early game to mid game very close, but the thing is, they have to look back from this loss and take it as a learning experience. Because I'm especially looking forward to seeing them at like another live championship event. Looking at this game, they need to break it down more deeply. They need to look at the things that they faulted on. They did very well in the early game. They executed and coordinated those stuns between Jewel and Celeste very well. But as the mid game got along, they started losing the pace. And a lot of things that they can take into consideration is the use of flares. Infusions were also very important in this game. You have to always open up that tab, looking at the other enemies' builds, looking at their itemizations. Once you start seeing them buying up infusions, you have to be able to counteract this. You can't think that, okay, I'm gonna try and fight this one out and save myself 500 gold. This is totally the wrong way, because once they win that one team fight, they're gonna start taking objectives. They're gonna make it worth so that they get that gold value back. Instead, what we saw here was Alliance. They just started dominating and rolling over the Vertigo Black team from then on. But excellent play from both teams, and with the Alliance team walking into next week's matches, we can expect them to be more comfortable on these hero picks. Like, we did see a couple of times where I Love Joseph wasn't playing as consistently as expected. And this is all about comfort picks too. Like I'm pretty sure in the off time they're learning new heroes. They're making sure that they master out these heroes. Like unlike everybody else who has a big pool of hero plays, they can play every hero. But in terms of mastering, there's only a few. But back to the guys in Germany, and we'll get on to the next match.
Thank you very much, Rome. And yes, indeed, we are going to jump into the next match. Therefore, we have their rosters prepared for you guys at home. You can see it is going to be Gangsters Sirius against Gangsters Vega. And that is Seed 1 against Seed 2.
That is going to be super interesting. And of course, coming into this match, I would like to ask Rome, you know, Gabe Wiesel, we see Calix, Iraqi Zoro, of course, Color the Meek. They have both teams wrecked Old School Fuji Pomp by Ukrainian. They both have the international experience here from the VIPL and Worlds. So what do you think about this matchup in general?
So let's take a step back and look around last year. I think it was around March when we first had that tournament to get the qualifying seats to the VIPL. It was the exact same Gangstars Vega team against the Sirius team back then, except they were known as Team Fusion. They met off each other in the first round, and Gangstars Vega, they lost. So they went through that losers bracket and they climbed all the way back up to the finals where they faced off in the best of 5. And they lost. But throughout this time, they've had so much practice. And the thing I have to note about them is before their playstyle was very predictive, you knew exactly what this Vega team was going to do in terms of being aggressive, making those like solo kill plays. But now they're so controlled. And this is like a great thing, especially when they have such a good sister team in terms of Gangstar Sirius, who has mastered these things since the beginning of the whole tournament scene. Both of these teams have mechanical wise, they're very coordinated, synergy. They've been playing for almost a year now. So what can we expect from them? Honestly, coming into this match, I'm looking for bans coming out of Vega, probably specifically on Call the Meek. And with the Sirius team is they're going to try and build a composition around what's good for them. This is like how their play styles, this is how they usually draft.
Talking about the draft, we actually, if you have nothing to add here from your side, we can actually jump over and check out what is happening in the ban and draft for Gangster Sirius versus Gangsters Vega. And that is how it is looking right now. Nothing filled so far, but we do have the first bans and picks incoming. It is the first ban, and it is going to be Glaive, banned away by Gangsters Vega.
So exactly what Vega is coming into here, and they have a great strategist behind them in terms of Fuji. What they're going to try and do is they're going to try and ban out Call specifically and trying to get him on top of another hero that he's not so comfortable with. With them being able to go first, ban first, and pick first, by banning Glaive, they're probably going to try and pick up this Black Feather first. Or they're going to be trying to pick up this Kestrel first. And that's definitely one of like the ways to go for them.
So the next ban incoming is an Arden ban. So Arden, one of the most picked, and not one of the most picked, the most hero in Vainglory so far, is getting banned away here. And maybe potentially forces what out of Gangsters Vega now?
With them banning Glaive first, right now they should obviously try and follow up with that strategy where they're trying to take Call off of his comfort picks. Banning Blackfeather next, picking up Blackfeather for their first pick would be awesome. Or they also have the option of Kestrel and Koshka. Knowing how Call the Meek plays and the comfort picks that he does have, this is optimally the way to go.
I mean, on point as always, as we are basically already really comfortable with it because Rome is always on point.
Yeah.
And it's a Blackfeather. That's the first pick coming in. And the answer by Sirius comes right away. They do go for the Catherine and Kestrel.
So even though that they did, Cull wasn't able to get that Black Feather, the Black Feather on the Gangstars Vega side is actually one of their strong suits. And looking at this, I'm trying to think of what they can possibly do. Most likely, Fuji will be running this Black Feather up in the lane, and in the jungle, you'll see Rekt and Old School trying to run something else, possibly something that's not too aggressive in the early game, but with enough support that they can fight as 3 when they do rotate down and have enough sustain to get them through like that early to mid game levels.
Just saying, it's Rhyme time. They do pick Rhyme and Finn, likely in the jungle, as you said already.
So looking at this here, they have 3 melee composition comps, 3 melee heroes inside this composition. What Sirius has to do here is they have to look at this and they have to think in the long game. Kestrel has a lot of range. They need somebody that's able to 3v1, but with enough damage to take out Black Feather. Here, the most optimal pick for them would either be Vox or Sky, and with them being able to secure something like this, they'll probably put it onto Iraqi Zoro to carry them into the late game, while Cull on the Kestrel will try and do as much damage in the early game as possible, try and be as aggressive as possible.
Let's see the last pick coming in from Sirius, and it is a Vox to complete their roster. They have Kestrel, Vox, and Catherine. Any final thoughts before we are going to head it off and throw it into the Halcyon Fold for the first matchup between the Gangstars and Gangsters, the ultimative matchup to see which is the better team?
Definitely one of the Gangstars team is going to make it through today.
Oh, the predictions.
Looking at their composition right now, Fuji is going to be running this Black Feather up in lane, or he might let Old School do it. But looking at their jungle composition, I'm assuming that they're going to play very passive early. They're going to do their back rotations, and they're going to go straight up to this lane. Because knowing how Cull plays, how Gade plays, they're very smart and efficient. They know when to take their comp to the advantage. They're going to try and do that early game invade. They're going to try and make plays happen so that as long as there's not too much pressure on Iraqi Zoro with Vox, he's able to farm into the late game, and that's where he's going to carry this team to victory.
Thank you very much. And as the players are loading onto the Halcyon Fold, we are about to throw it over to Tasty Bacon and Forecourt Jester to report for us the first matchup between Gangstars Vega and Gangstars Sirius.
All right, thank you very much, Don John. We are gonna get onto the fold for one of our marquee matchups of the tournament: Gangstars versus Gangstars. 2 teams that are gonna obviously know a whole heck of a lot about each other. And we talked to obviously Gangstars, the Gangstars V team, whereas we got to talk to them a lot.
Yeah. Sirius.
Yeah, Vega and Sirius, I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Or just say Gangstars so that we never have to worry about being wrong. But we talked to Vega a lot at the live championships for the fall season. And, they told us they do a lot of working with the Sirius team while they were over in Korea. They constantly are sharing strategies, sharing information, and things like that between the 2 teams. So they know a lot about each other. They play against each other all the time. So this should be a really exciting one coming up to see which of the 2 Gangstars teams is going to secure themselves at least 40 points from the first qualifier.
Right, so it's going to be Old School, at least in lane for now. Fuji is just going to be out and about on that Rhyme. And, we saw exactly one Rhyme yesterday. And now today, Fuji is going to be bringing this out. And this was actually a combo that Who was it? Who was our first games yesterday? Because they ran pretty much this exact combo. I'm not entirely too sure it was the Black Feather, but the Rhyme and the Finn. Put them together, and you have a very deadly engage with the Forced Accord into the Root, the Valkyrie, and all the good stuff coming out from Fuji here on that Rhyme. It didn't win yesterday, so I'm not too sure if that's going to, tip the scales for today. But Rekt, speaking of scales, he's He did not tip those skills very well at all. Call the Meek and crew just find him in that bush, and that's one of the bigger downsides that we had to accentuate yesterday as well. Finn is big and he's slow and he's very vulnerable to Kestrels here early on.
Yeah, and you know, we saw a lot of Kestrel yesterday, but not too many of them did really well up until our final game when Von C just kind of destroyed everything with it. So let's see if Cole the Meek can have a similar performance here. Obviously off to a strong start with that. But, you know, the rhyme, I believe it was actually the rhyme that we saw yesterday was with Gangstar's Vega taking on the Velocity, Halcyon Hammer's Velocity team. I believe that was our first one.
Yeah,
I might be mistaken.
Teams. Yeah.
I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that was actually the game that it was in. So maybe Gangstar's Vega saw that and decided to bring it back here as there's another kill being picked up by Gangstar Series, this time Iraqi Zoro, arguably one of the best laners in the world, playing up in that lane on this Vox. We saw what Mish just did on Vox. Iraqi Zoro going to be looking to repeat that kind of performance.
It was very close as well. He came down to within an inch of his life, but you know, a kill is a kill, and getting that, it now puts us at a 2-0 early game advantage coming out here for the Sirius crew. Gold, however, is still pretty much dead set at this point. Gabe Vizzo and Colda Meek, they're going to find Rekt, or well, Rekt is going to find them, and he just wisely decides that this is not going to be worth his time. 2 shots to the back, no problem. Colda Meek, he's just going to be able to take, ooh, maybe not. Rekt, I think, actually stole that one away. Now Colda Meek, he's actually going to take a little bit of fire. We got the rotation. Old School's coming down here. Vox is going to be behind him. Nope, Vox is just going to say, I'm going to stay in lane and push this up. Old School not going to be getting any benefit, but Rekt still not winning those trades.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is coming from the fact that Rekt just isn't tanky enough yet. Obviously, Finn is that super hyper tank as the late game of getting extra stats from all defensive items, but early on isn't going to be quite tanky enough. Still does have a more tanky stats than, you know, say a Catherine or an Arden in the first couple levels, but it really, until you start getting a few items built up, isn't going to be able to survive things like these glimmer shots coming through from Cole the Meek, as we do see Gangstar Sirius going to go ahead and take out the gold mine pretty early on, get themselves a tiny gold payout, but it's all about the control of the gold mine. You see Cole the Meek going to be in a little bit of trouble, but should be able to walk away from this.
Well, he's trying his best. Old School, I'm not entirely confident will either, but that's the glimmer shots now coming back. No pressure on Cole means lots of arrows in the face, and Rekt again, he's going to get focused down. Old School trying to make an equal trade. He's just not going to happen, and Fuji is going to be running. One shot, one kill will hit for about 400, but unless Gabe Vizzo can bring Fuji into range here of Cole the Meek, it's not to happen.
And I don't quite think they're going to pick up that kill, but Sirius right now just looking like the much better Gangstars team here in the early goings. Of course, we did see things where, you know, a team looks incredibly dominant early on and then just falls off in, or, you know, the opponent just gets much stronger. However, Blackfeather and Vox, you know, they kind of equal each other out in terms of the late game dominance. Blackfeather is, of course, has started to take that late game carry role away from Vox, but Vox still holds that that sort of niche pick of having that extreme late game. And another kill coming out for Cole the Meek.
Yeah, that's what, the second, the third? It's the second death there for Fuji on that rhyme. But that's the second time though he's been caught on his invade when he goes out looking for some of that CS. Now Rekt, Rekt, I think he actually got that, but he's gonna pay for it. He just can't go anywhere here. Cole the Meek and the glimmer shots, well, I guess we didn't have enough in that quiver. Old School did actually come around as well, looking for some counter pressure. They'll keep Rekt up. He didn't, I don't think he got the Merc camp for it, but at the same time, I mean, this is one of the problems of this comp. If you get engaged upon not using that Force to Gourd, not using your combo for that win, it's sort of hard to defend against.
And so we, with Sirius having this lead, they're going to start grouping up. There is the breaking point completed for Old School, a very important item for this Blackfeather. But will this be enough? A Valkyrie comes down, but the turret is just going to get completely destroyed.
And so will Fuji at this point. Yep, there he goes. He is going to go down to Vox at the end of it all. The wait for it. All right, I'm not entirely too sure that was needed at the end of it all. Iraqi Zoro now going to be running for it as he now has some heartthrobs on top of him. Old School able to chase that down, and that was actually a 2-for-1, but it was the turret going the way of the serious Gangstars here, and they cannot really put up any kind of more pressure here from Vega because we have no minions in that lane.
Yeah, Vega did manage to pick up 2 kills along the way, though, with that, so the gold isn't too far out of their reach. It's just about 1,000 gold lead at 7.5, 8 minutes, but Cole the Meek, with these glimmer shots, is going to be getting some damage onto Rekt here, but Rekt has now gotten to the point where he's actually got some tanky stats under his belt now, so not going to be completely melted.
We need that level 6, though. We need that Forced Accord as the roam position. Typically, they are the 3rd one to get to that ultimate status. But Fuji, he's going to be walking around as well. I'm really interested to see if we can make that combo happen. But at a score of 6-2, it's really actually still about 1,000 gold or so between the teams. That's some really good standings for Vega, since they're down not only that gold mine, because there was a tiny gold payout there, but as well as that turret and 4 kills.
Yeah, so not having that extra map control from the turret being down is going to be something that will hurt them, as Sirius can make some more aggressive plays.
Wow.
And Rekt, my goodness, I said he's got some tanky stats, so he's not going to get melted, but Cole the Meek just throws that notion out the window with these glimmer shots. But there's a great Forced Accord. The Valkyrie doesn't quite connect, and that's going to be a wow! Huge turnaround from K-Bizzle, Iraqi Zoro, and Cole the Meek. And again, a lot of it was that Valkyrie. After the Forced Accord, the Valkyrie needs to be on point, and it unfortunately just was not on point there, and it caused the ace and 2 turrets to be picked up by Sirius, capitalizing on that mistake immensely.
So, Silence, Wait For It, and Vox totally just threw that team fight out the window right there. Not only was the Vega crew already been poked down at that point, but big credit to Rekt. 3-man Forced Accord. That was probably the best setup he could have actually afforded for his team. But 3 kills to Iraqi Zoro. What a monster when it comes to this game. 9 kills to 2. There was an immense gold payout, 2 turrets. Man, we just went from less than 1,000 or so between the teams to now counting at 4.
Yeah, that was a huge turnaround. And again, a lot of it was just the missed Valkyrie by Fuji, just not getting it out fast enough when the Forced Accord was landed. And so he tried to compensate for the fact that he didn't get it down immediately, but nobody from Gangstar Series had moved back into that area. And so it just didn't get the stun landed onto them to change the course of the game with that big combo. If they can land that combo again, another Forced Accord can pull in all 3 of them into a Valkyrie that does connect on top of all 3, Vega still has a chance to win that fight, and it would be an instant deletion. But that chance just happened. Now the reflex blocks are going to start coming out. Iraqi Zoro already has one. I would expect Cole and Gabe Bizzle to pick one up soon as well. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, we got that Forced Accord on top of Gabe, but they just could not take down Old School at this point. The Kestrel is going to be the first to drop. We pay for that with the Rhyme into the back. Gabe Bizzle is still tanking and kiting, and I'm not too sure Rekt is going to be living through that. He is just absolutely going to drop, and Iraqi Zoro is just really putting these guys to the iron. So much pain coming out from this Vox pick, who's now level 10, highest level in the game. It was pretty decent engage. I mean, we got that anchor out. The Forced Accord did allow the aggression on top of the Kestrel, but I think we have to actually put more emphasis on the Vox.
Yeah, absolutely. Iraqi Zoro is probably the biggest threat on the team at the moment for Gangstar Sirius, but Gangstar Vega not able to lock him down. Obviously, he has a significant amount of mobility with the Sonic Zoom, going to be able to dance around quite a bit. Has the alternating current and a Shatter Glass, actually. So a little bit surprising to see him not go for the Broken Myth as the second item on this Vox, especially after what we just saw in our previous match. But Gangstars Vega, they have a lot of work to do if they're going to come back in this game. They still haven't really gotten any damage onto that first turret yet. As we see, Old School has pretty much been consistently keeping a weapon infusion active on him for the past couple minutes. Iraqi Zoro going to be starting to do the same thing with the crystal infusions. But as you know, if Vega can get that big clutch initiation down, but that is not it right there. However, they have Iraqi Zoro low, but not quite able to get the kill. And this is going to be another ace picked up by Gangstar Serious. They do finally take down Iraqi Zoro at the end of it, but it's just too late for the team fight to go in their favor. And Gangstar Serious, they're going to look to try and push in, although those death timers are very short still.
So I'm not entirely too sure what's the lesser of two evils here. They focused Iraqi Zoro, they got aced. They focused Koldamik, they still got aced. That fight also had a minion miner part of that. It was basically 4v3. I mean, not saying that the minion miner is going to be the end-all. He's definitely not the same as a gold miner on your team, and there was no candy on him. But that pressure, I mean, just seeing the way that Iraqi Zoro is able to dance around this battlefield and prolong his life, it means that you got to go so much more deeper here for Vega in order to capitalize on that kill. And they have not been able to get the better trades consistently. Now they're going back in. They're going to find Rector in the front, but Fuji's already down to half. He's running for it. One shot, one kill is aptly named as Finn is going to drop. Old School is running for the hills, and because we have lost Rhyme, and to prevent that ace, this is what he has to do. But these engages are so one-sided.
Yeah, and it really is, part of the problem is the fact that Gangstar Serious are the ones controlling these engages and actually, starting things off. On that fight around the minion mine, it was Gangstar Serious that were in the brush waiting for the side of Vega to come down, and they just completely took advantage of it. And even in that last one, Koldamik was able to get a few glimmer shots off to do a good amount of damage before the fight even started, and that's what we're constantly seeing. Gangstars Vega, if they can get a fight on their terms, they have a good shot of winning it, but the problem is that they're not able to get fights on their terms at the moment.
I don't think they've had a fight on their terms this entire game. They had a nice 2-for-1 in the mid.
They had one, but it was the missed Valkyrie under the turret. Yeah. Like, that was definitely on their terms, but they didn't land the skill shot that they needed to. But if they can, like I said, if they can get another fight like that, if they can set up a party brush somewhere and catch Sirius off guard, they can hit that huge combo and lock them up, but it's just going to be so difficult to do that when you're this far behind.
Yeah, and speaking of far behind, it's close to 7,000 at this point. Now, we have held on to that gold mine this entire game here from the Sirius crew. They should actually just take this minion mine back, but they're not super interested in it. There's the decent gold payout. Old School got hit by, I think, a flare, and they saw him immediately there. There's the minion mine now captured. Kraken is up. All we have to do here from Sirius is wait and force the pressure and force the guessing game coming up from Vega. If they take a sneaky Kraken or they bait out this Kraken like they're doing now and an ace, ooh, this could be game.
Yeah, Broken Myth is complete for Iraqi Zoro. There's a Crucible on Gabe Vizsla, and there you have the infusions. They're looking for the fight after getting the deletion onto Wrecked. That's the one who's supposed to be staying alive. That's the big tanky Finn, and just didn't look like a big tanky river troll there at all.
Yeah, I mean, glimmer shots, we had Vox, and then the one-shot, one-kill to finish it all up. I mean, again, like, they're down several thousand gold at this point. All they had to do was bait out this Kraken. They even got spotted by the flare, and that's why Wrecked went in. He's like, oh, I found him, all right. And he went in, and, I mean, just... the damage is absolutely unreal. The Vox late game is really coming to his own. He has 8 kills, 8 assists of the 17 to the side of Sirius. Iraqi Zoro is just an absolute god.
Yeah, and looking at the infusions too, you have double infusions on both of the carries for Gangstar Sirius, and only one double infusion as the fight is starting off, but there's already Fuji out of it, and this is going to be Gangstar Sirius just cleaning things up for the ace. Koldamik did go down, but with the Kraken on the crystal turrets, it's not going to matter. This is going to be game number 1 going to Gangstar Sirius.
Yeah, there's just no way to come back out of this one with the Kraken that healthy and 2 opponents on your crystal. It is just gonna get shattered, and 20 kills to 5. Absolutely dominant stuff. It's nearly 8,000 gold between these teams. That's pretty astounding. Actually 7,000 gold between these teams, but still, at the end of the day, look at Araki Zoro. Nearly 9,000 gold accrued.
Yeah, that was just a dominating performance from Gangstar Sirius. And again, you have to wonder what could have been if that Valkyrie had connected underneath the turret there. But unfortunately for Vega, it didn't. And, we can see what the eventual end result of that was. So, Rome, gonna go ahead and throw it to you. Ask how exactly what does Gangsters Vega have to do differently in game number 2 if they want to make this a 3-game series?
Coming to this game, especially from the beginning, they have to look at it. They already planned ahead of time that Old School was going to be in the late matchup against Iraqi Zoro. And this is honestly, looking at them comparing their mechanical skills, it's actually quite balanced and it's very evenly distributed. But then you look into the jungle, and this is where you also want to make it even. Because like we saw in the lane, they had one Black Feather, they had one Vox, both very mid to late game skill and heroes. But in the jungle, on one side, you have a Rhyme and you have Finn. On the other side, you have a Kestrel and a Catherine. So this is obviously what made that difference. We noticed how the Vox would just shove the lane and he would rotate down, while Meek on this Kestrel was constantly invading, making life so hard for Fuji to farm. What they need to do coming into the second game is Vega has to make sure they have a more balanced composition throughout. If they're going to go with the late game carry, they need to balance it out with something that can help them pretty much transition into that late game period. They can't bet it all into the 20-minute mark and hope to come out with making amazing plays, because the thing is, they're playing against Gangstar Sirius. This is one of the top teams in the world. These guys won't make random mistakes. They won't make reckless plays. They have a very controlled play style. So if you want to beat them, you have to beat them on the exact same battleground. You can't expect that by avoiding this early game, we're going to win the late game. You have to be able to fight them at every single level in that stage. But hopefully next round, we're going to see a way better fight. We're going to see better compositions coming out of both. I'm sure Gangstar's Vega has a lot to look into this, and for sure they're already in that planning phase, trying to make sure that this next game they're able to secure those picks that will help them out. But let's throw it to the guys in Germany while we go to the second draft pick.
Thanks a lot, Rom. And as already said, we are going into the next draft here at VGL, into the second match of this matchup, Gangsters Sirius versus Gangsters Vega. Here now Sirius as the blue team and Vega as the red team in the second matchup, whereas Sirius, is going to ban here Kestrel and Vega is going to ban Blackfeather. What are your thoughts on that, Rom?
With Sirius going first, they don't, and having to pick first, they don't want to leave this Kestrel open, because by picking Kestrel first, or they're giving the other team the opportunity to counter pick right away. So if they were to ban Kestrel, they're going to try and secure something more along their liking. They have options in terms of Sky, a Vox, or even going with a Rome. And to build a composition around this, it's been working for them so well.
Alright, so let's see Gangster Sirius here, of course, as you said, looking forward to ban their Kestrel and picking Sky. So this is what they secure for themselves. And Vega, let's go ahead with their first pick. So it is Sky for Sirius and Ringo plus Catherine for Vega.
Knowing how I do know both of these teams quite well, so with this Sky on the Sirius pick, we can expect Iraqi Zoro to be playing the Sky in the lane, like we've seen them play during VIPL before. And so this gives them a lot of room where you're going to get a guy that's going to be very well farmed in the early game. What you want for the Sirius team is to be able to secure a very convenient early to mid game hero. You have options like if they don't want to run double CP, their best pick right now would be Glaive for Call the Meek. With his ability to be able to jump in, dive deep, and make those plays, or if they're behind, he can use his afterburn, help peel off for this guy, help pretty much put his team into better positioning to win out these team fights.
So let's continue here. Sirius finishing their draft with the last 2 picks, and they are Glaive together with Arden. On the side from Vega, they are going for the last pick, which is Scarf. So we have Sky, Glaive, and Arden for Sirius, and Scarf, Catherine, and Ringo for Vega.
Like, I'm trying to think this one through, and most likely we will be seeing Fuji on the Scarf, but where he decides to play it, I'm not too sure yet, because if he were to play Scarf in the lane, he might have a lot of trouble running to Iraqi Zoro, where he's gonna kept getting dived on with the Story Strike into that forward barrage, and with Scarf being not so mobile, it does make it really hard. So then they followed up with this guy and this Catherine. It makes more sense to put this Scarf in the jungle and with this Ringo up in lane.
All right. So thank you for the thoughts, and yeah, we are jumping into the fold here for Gangsters versus Gangsters, the marquee match, as already said, on the North American side of VGL. Looking forward to that match. Players are locking in, and we will be back on the fold with Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon in just a second.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
All right, so here we go on to the fold for game number 2 of Gangstars versus Gangstars. Vega versus Sirius. Sirius with that 1-0 advantage. And Vega going to be looking to bring this one back. And just as Rome predicted, it is Old School in the lane, but he is going to be getting ganked heavily. And Call the Meek with this level 1 Glaive in the lane, getting that invasion from Iraqi Zoro and Gabe Bizzle, picking up that first blood under 1 minute.
Definitely a bit more of an accelerated gameplay coming out from Sirius, but this was a Glaive ban in game number 1. Here he is in game 2 and already a kill under a minute. It's forced wrecked in Old School here into the lane. They're covering for him. Actually, it looks like they're just going to swap for a second. Fuji's now just going to be off doing some jungle, but man, like that's just a huge hit to the mentality coming into this game number 2.
Yeah, Call the Meek is, this is his signature hero. Glaive is the one that he, made a name for himself on over in Korea for World Invitational and VIPL. And again, this is a Gangstar Series team that has played in 3 international competitions and finished in the top 3 every single time, as we see a bit of a jungle invade coming here from Gabe and Iraqi Zoro. And this is, something that they've done multiple times in those international tournaments, is throw Gabe up in the lane, or throw Cull up in the lane, sorry, with this Glaive, and have Iraqi Zoro come down with still a ranged carry that could be a laner in the jungle. So this isn't anything new for this Gangstar Series team.
All right, so Old School looks like he's just going to be taking care of the lane for now. Fuji is actually now leading the invade here with Rek. They're looking for the stun. They will find Araki Zoro, and, well, he doesn't really have too many places to go, does he? And there he goes for the first kill, going over now to the Vega crew. Much earlier first kill for them this round, and Old School a little bit shaken at the front, but the rest of the team now recovering. Well, Koldemeek and Gabe Vizzle, you can see that they're getting the backs at the same time as Fuji and Rekt, as just going to keep invading their jungles. So a little bit of back and forth. 1-1 early on, though. And again, like, Koldemeek has kind of the big guy that you got to be looking for here in Sirius crew.
Yeah, and with this Glaive pick already getting some jungle invasions, even though he started in the lane, and now we do see Iraqi Zoro, the one going up into the lane. It looks like Gabe Vizzle is actually caught out quite heavily there and is going to fall, so that will be a second kill onto the board for Gangstar's Vega. Not too shabby of a start for them, although they are still behind by about 300 gold.
So Fuji now going to be holding down lane. We just keep swapping back and forth. Jungle invades aside. I mean, Araki Zero, he's a little bit far forward. Old School is just going to come right out of that bush, and boom! 3 kills to 1, and Vega much stronger here in the early game in game number 2, as opposed to what we did just see them lose to 20-5, and they're already setting up to 3. So at this pace, they're well on their way to take control here of this early to mid game.
Yeah, and you're looking at the farm numbers. Koldemeek and Old School, both very similar. Same thing for Iraqi Zoro and Fuji, sitting on only about 3 to 4 CS difference between either of those two pairs, which means the items are very similar as well. Fuji obviously just a trip to the shop behind, as they've both gone for just a bunch of crystal bits. Iraqi Zoro with 3 crystal bits and an Eclipse Prism in his inventory. That's just wanting that really early crystal power damage for things just like that. The forward barrage being used just to try and push Rekt away. It looks like both teams really want to put attention on this gold mine, and the fight is starting.
Yeah, and they're going to be just kicking Old School off to the side. He tries to get back to his team there of Rekt, but Araki Zora on that forward barrage has his number with the numbers advantage going here down to Sirius. They should be able to pick up the gold mine pretty toot sweet, and it is already going to be dropping. Fuji's going to be trying to push up lane as best he can. Probably another wave or so before heading back, but man, like, once you get Koldemeek into that back line, that's just not where you want him. And, well, the surprise potential from the bushes is another big reason why Glaive in lane can be just so fierce. That's another kill.
Yeah, Koldemeek on this Glaive. It already has the tension bow completed. You know, we talked about the timing on that tension bow, when you want to have it. 5 minutes is where Koldemeek gets it pretty much every game. He has it right around that 5-minute mark, a tension bow completed on this Glaive. And it's something that he does just every single game. It's just very consistent with his play on this hero. It's very impressive.
All right, Fuji picks up the gold minion mine, not the gold mine, and it looks like a few more jungle minions to go his way as well. Koldemeek is going to be pushing up lane, and if we're going to be pushing that up, you might be able to catch on a rotation here from Vega. You can see him coming up already. Old School leading the charge, and you know, in terms of everything else, Minion Mine now going to go down for Sirius, and Araki Zoro into the back, still farming up a Storm. Do we have any level 6s down, Mr. Bacon?
Yeah, there's actually both Iraqi Zoro just hit his. Koldemeek has been 7 now, and then Fuji and Old School both also just hit 6. So pretty much all the carries now sitting with their ultimates available, as the Frostburn is picked up by Iraqi Zoro, finishing off his first item there. So, you know, a bit of an advantage as the fight is starting up.
And now that we got a Hellfire coming out of that as well, nothing to heal, and that's going to be it for Sky. Vega picks up the first blood, but Koldemeek comes in, he twirls, he whirls, and he is a dealer of death. That's going to be 2, and looking for the third. Old School, nice pick up there to make it 2 for 3, but it is Koldemeek, the god, just coming in and cutting down the opposition. He gets the ace. He's looking for the backs. They're not there, so he actually gets denied out of that one, but he'll be happy just to chomp on this forward mine. Just for a few.
Yeah, and 3-0-3 for Koldemeek now. 6 kills on the team. He has 100% kill participation in the first 7 minutes. And this is what we talk about. Cole the Meek is just a huge star for this Gangstars team. And it's one of the biggest news things floating around right now is the fact that after this tournament, Cole the Meek is actually leaving Gangstars. So that's going to be a big question mark for them going forward after this first qualifier.
Well, I mean, they're still going to have Iraqi Zoro and Gabe Vizel. It's not like it's the end of the world for the Sirius crew, but I mean, that is definitely going to be a blow. Cole the Meek is really showing strong stuff here in game number 2 with that glaive, really justifying why game number 1 had that glaive ban. It's not often that we really see too many glaives in this meta or bans, that being said, but glaive here, Cole the Meek, my goodness, like you can almost call them one and the same at this point.
Yeah, there's a reason why, one of his nicknames over in Korea was just Cole the Glaive, because that's all he is, that's what he is most known for. I shouldn't say all he's known for, but here they go with a big fight. Cole is actually going to be the first one to drop here, and Gangstars Vega are pulling off the ace for themselves. That is 3 kills picked up by Old School, and he is now at 7-3. Old School on this Ringo is just putting on a show.
And we didn't even use the Hellfire Brew right there. It was just fantastic positioning and a good catch. Didn't really look like the death from above kind of hit its mark. Didn't seem to, bring the delay that it really needed to. It wasn't able to zone out either. So that being said, Vega still very much into this game. We talk a lot about Cole the Meek, but Old School really showing some of his colors there as well. 7-3 for kills, as you said. Wrecked, however, is about to get wrecked. Cole the Meek is looking for Old School now. They're not so happy with how that last fight went down. Got to get this gold miner involved. Iraqi Zoro is actually now going to drop, and we trade it 1-1. Wrecked, however, is sticking around. Here comes Fuji from the side. Wrecked is going to drop, and now I have to wonder about this little dragon. He's going to go 2-on-1. We still got the gold mine, but there's no candy on it. It's just not hitting hard enough, and this will be again an ace going for the Sirius.
Ace.
So ace being answered with another ace as Sirius, they get the 3 kills. They are now going to be looking towards that gold miner as they just have Gabe Vizel soloing that one out. But here comes Old School to try and stop this one. Looks like he's actually going to be successful and picks up a kill. Gangstars Vega, they actually have a gold lead of about 1,500 despite all of the invasions that Cole the Meek has been doing into their jungle.
It was just a little too greedy. Cole the Meek went into the jungle, and Gabe Vizel was left to the gold mine. In a perfect world, yeah, that would have worked. But now look at Meek by himself. He has to deal with a 3v1. He's already used out the afterburn, and he's just going to get caught down at this point. Wrecked is there. He's going to have another stun soon enough. And Meek, well, he's just not going to go anywhere. Caught with his pants down at the item shop. The gold mine will remain with Vega at this point. How many times have we seen big plays centered around countering a take on the gold mine? We saw this multiple times last series, and now coming into this as well, Vega are looking phenomenal.
Another big part of that is Old School actually had double infusions up during this last couple of minutes, knowing that they really needed to get something going here in this mid game. So that Cole the Meek didn't just completely take over the game with that early tension bow. Obviously now also having the double Fountain of Renewal onto Gangstar Sirius with Cole and Gabe both having that item in inventory. But Gangstars Vega, they're the ones on the hunt.
Oh, so close. What a great save there from Gabe Vizel. Big stun. Oh, the Hellfire into the back of it. Iraqi will finally actually drop on that. Old School becomes impressive. He's sitting at 10-4-1. Of the 12 kills, he has 10 of the blows and 1 assist. I gotta say, I think he's probably the most farmed in this game right now.
Yeah, also sitting on 104 minions killed to go along with those 10 kills. I definitely have to agree. But that does mean that, obviously the shutdowns that have been coming from him have been getting a good amount of gold onto the Gangstar Series side. As Cole the Meek, again, sitting at 5-2-4 himself, still keeping that 100% kill participation. And it looks like, for now, until Iraqi Zoro can get a Broken Myth completed, a lot of the Gangstar Series is going to rely on Cole the Meek's glaive getting into the back lines and just doing big damage to the entire team with those crits.
All right, we got that flare. Gold Miner is active. Gabe is already coming down low. Big Dragon's Breath. Not entirely sure it's going for Gabe, but Araki is going to drop low. The forward barrage. Wrecked is just going to tank it all up, and a double kill comes out as we go 2-0. Now Fuji has to really just kind of get this Gold Miner involved, and well, I think Meek actually did him a favor in terms of the involvement, but by the end, another ace comes out for Sirius. They will take this gold mine. Game Vizzo has no problems doing it this time. Nobody will touch him with those death timers. Makes in a bush lane, and look at Arakizoro out and about in order to try to clean up that jungle. That is the definition of taking every objective you can.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, in the fall season, that was our big talking point, was what you take after a fight. And Gangstar Sirius, they just said, you know what, how about everything? Getting the turret, the enemy jungle camps, and the gold mine all in their favor just resulted in a huge gold swing, and now it's going to be Sirius the ones that have that 1,000 gold lead all of a sudden after winning just... obviously the fights have been back and forth quite a bit with the kills being 12-12, but now Meek is going in.
Oh, and they just change up the tactics. They go immediately for Old School, who's way out of position. No support to come out from his team, and now Wrecked is going to be running for it. Looks like Fuji will actually, well, live for a little bit. I don't think Meek's going to really give him the time of day, and, well, there's the afterburn, there's the stun, and Arakizoro with the forward barrage. It won't be the ace, but it will be a 2-0, and, again, the minion mine going back into favor. That's both captured here for Sirius, and they can just push up. Could this even be another turret right here?
It should be a turret. They have a full minion wave. Obviously, Old School is going to be there to defend, but they can just bully this one down. They are significantly strong enough to do so. And there goes a death from above. They're looking actually for a fight underneath the turret, and they're going to get it.
Wow. Yeah, nice gauntlet there just to keep Vega really on its toes. Wrecked is now going to be running for it. Gabe Vizzo is not interested. There's the turret, and they didn't... Wow, they still actually haven't killed Arakizoro. Fuji's in hot pursuit. Here comes Wrecked Vanguard to keep Arakizoro going. The Suri Strike as well. It's so very close to getting off that play of the year. But now it's Gabe Vizzo dealing up with Wrecked and Fuji. But look at Fuji just dropping lower and lower. Will Gabe Vizzo trade this one out? He won't. We have a fountain there ticking away, and Fuji will be very happy to finally get a little bit of a respite. Meek, the only one to live, but he's getting the backs. He got the turret, and that's going to deny the ace as well. Still a very neck-and-neck game, but you can say that the turret pressure has really started to swing to Sirius's favor.
Yeah, I'm a little actually surprised that Meek, after taking that turret, didn't just make his way on down to join that fight. With how low both Fuji and Wrecked ended up by the end of it, definitely could have been a couple more kills going into his name, but instead just wanted to get the farm from the jungle, wanted to get that extra gold, finishing off the... Actually, no, he didn't finish anything there with that back. He just picked up the... Oh, no, it was the metal jacket that he did finish. It looked like the... Looked a little bit like the tier 2 armor item, the coat of plates, for a second. But does get the metal jacket, also picks himself up an infusion, double infusions in fact, for both Arakizoro and Meek. So they're going to be potentially looking to end this game based around this Kraken, as they started up seeing all the members of, or at least, yeah, all three members of Gangstar's Vega up in the lane dealing with those minions. So this is going to be
going to be a Kraken for sure. Yeah, there it goes. Unleashed
push
now onto the fold. So 16 minutes in. That's not the fastest Kraken we've ever seen, but 15 kills to 14 overall. Still pretty neck and neck, but again, with ever so slight more pressure coming up from Sirius. I think they've had more aces, and from that, more turrets. Now they are looming into a potential endgame situation. This Kraken for sure is going to be taking at least one of these turrets, but we do got Fuji there as well as Ringo. Both of these guys can shred down the Kraken given the right chance. And now with this engage, Gabe Vizzo, he's really just looking for that gauntlet, but here's the death from above. It's going to keep Fuji off to the side. The gauntlet as well, going to just cut off the escape of Old School, and Old School is way too far forward. Wrecked here as well. Fuji trying to get the equal kill. He will get one. But now, what will the rest of the team of Sirius do? Arakizoro is here with those Suri Strikes and the forward barrages. Auto attacks will secure the ace. The Kraken pushes through the turret. And with between these two and Death Timers, I think this is game. Tasty Bacon?
Yeah, as very well should be the game. The Death from Above being used to melt that first turret. Kraken still having about half of its health as it moves on to the second. That one is down. The respawns are going to come through now, but Kraken is still very healthy, and that crystal is already going to be shattered. And Gangstar Sirius take this one 2-0 over their Gangstars brethren from Gangstars Vega, and that's going to be the Gangstar Sirius team moving on into the semifinals, where they are going to be joining their other VIPL team in Alliance. So number 1 and number 3 from the VIPL, they faced each other in the semifinals over in Korea. They may end up facing each other here in the semifinals of the winter season qualifier. It's going to be an exciting semifinals already, just based on those two teams being involved.
Well, good game, well played to them, guys. So that's it for Sirius. They move on. Vega would not. Rome, I think there was definitely a lot of pressure to say that Sirius was the better team, but what do you think of it?
I think overall, especially shown during this match, Gangstars Vega actually played really well, considering how they picked up their composition and how they were able to use that double range to get them from that early to that late game. But the problem here was Kolda Meek on this glaive. He played extraordinarily well. And what everybody was going to notice is why he didn't opt out for more damage, and instead he got a bunch of defensive items, primarily with that metal jacket, the tier 3 boots, and that fountain. He played this really well because even with that tension bow, he was able to get from that early to that mid game. And later on, what he's trying to do is hold off the other team, making sure that he's taking in a lot of damage until Iraqi Zoro was able to complete that second item in terms of that broken myth. And when that item was completed, the fight started really turning around. Before that, we saw a lot of back and forth aces, just fights going for any other team depending on their position. But once the items got finished, the infusion started coming out from both teams. And this is the turning point, where you're dealing with a Ringo who is very strong in the early game, but starts to fall off. And with this Scarf coming out of the jungle, you have two very vulnerable heroes that, on the other team, you have a tanky Glaive that's not afraid to dive straight into that back line, make plays after burning someone out. And with the follow-up coming up from the Vanguard and Arden and that Gauntlet, in the end, the better skill in comp was Sirius, and they played it out really well. That's how they got this win. Coming into next qualifiers, I think with Gangstars Vega is they have the capability, they have the individual mechanics. What they do have to work on is building the same amount of controlled play that the Gangstar Sirius team does have. We noticed from them, even though they were behind, they knew when to pick up these fights. They knew when to pop those infusions, and that's something we also see with Alliance. This type of controlled play, knowing exactly what to do or when to do it, is what makes you go to that next level. Apart from being so great already, so awesome things to come from both Gangstar's team, and best of luck to Gangstar Sirius following up. Hopefully, we'll see a rematch between them and Alliance soon.
Thank you very much, Rome. So we are going to wrap it up for this matchup. Have an even more awesome matchup likely coming up, which is going to be Team Penetrate versus Nemesis Hydra. Team Penetrate, the team which kicked out Liberation Y in the round of 32, and Nemesis Hydra struggling a little bit, throwing everything they had to come up here. We do have the rosters on our page for you guys at home, and if Rome wants to, he could tell us a little bit more. Meanwhile, we are getting the party set up about those two teams and what he expects to see from this matchup.
This is one of the teams that are trying to make a foot for themselves in the scene. In fact, this is probably their first tournament, and look how far they've gotten. They've already gotten up to the minimum of 8th seed and 8th spot, and they're already qualifying for points, and they're qualifying for cash prizes. Their opponent today is in Nemesis Hydra, and even though Nemesis Hydra has come in second during the North American Live Championships, there is a big similarity in terms of what these two teams play in terms of composition-wise. They have very strong laners, and their compositions are basically built around that early game aggression. Being able to get those utility picks coming out, like especially focus around Glaive, focus around Koshka, where you're dependent on these stuns. Even though they do fall off into that late game, the early game they take the advantage of that early game, and they make so many plays out of it. Watch for both of these guys to clash a lot. We're gonna expect a lot of kills, a lot of early game fights, a lot of like poking around just to test the boundaries of the other team.
All
but
right.
as the guys set it up, I'll send it off to Germany.
Thank you very much. So we are looking forward, and of course, Nemesis Hydra is a top team here. At least they showed that they have a lot of potential going here into this quarterfinal match. They definitely want to go all the way to the live championships, where the prize pool is $25,000 US. So let's start with the draft here, and Don John has some more information about that.
Yeah, we do have a Ringo ban coming in from a Team Penetrate, and Nemesis Hydra is answering directly through Hardek and stating Vox as a ban. So no Ringo and no Vox.
So a question that I would have here if I were to talk to Team Penetrate is, I know how great of a Ringo they do have on their roster, and with banning out this first, they were probably thinking the other team might ban something else so that they could lock up this Vox. But Nemesis Hydra actually made a really smart play in targeting out this Vox. This actually forces the laner for Team Penetrate to pick another comfort pick, which I'm assuming is a mage, and will be played crystal-wise. And this suits Hydra's composition really well, considering how they like to dive in that early game composition. Coming into this, so looking from Team Penetrate is, I'm expecting them to play heroes like Glaive, Jewel, Celeste, coming out of their team comps. And although they are comfort picks, I'm not too sure that they can handle the constant aggression and like the skilled mechanics individually coming out of the Hydra team.
Currently still waiting on the first pick out of Team Penetrate. So far nothing. So yeah, very, very interesting. I believe there it is. I was going to say something else, but it's going to be a Sky after all, getting called out here as a first pick. And is that something you thought of with mentioning that they ban a Ringo but having a very, very strong Ringo player in their roster?
Yeah, so I'm assuming because they banned out Ringo, I thought they were going to ban out Vox until Vox got banned. Pick up Vox until Vox got banned. But securing the Sky pick actually helps their jungle a lot in terms of being able to relay that pressure in the early game. And for this, they have to think, what will they put up in the lane? They possibly might run exactly what Gangstar Series previously did and put a Glaive up in lane, switch it up, make sure that Glaive gets really tanky, and so that he's able to maintain that early game pressure and rotate as much as he can. Because once this guy gets to that mid-late game, once he's finishing his second and third ability items, his ability to actually put out that damage it could possibly be the game changer to help them succeed past this second place winner.
Hardek calling out here the next picks, which are Arden and Blackfeather. What do you think about that, Rom?
There is a great chance that they will be running a triple melee comp this game, unless they decide to opt out and grab a Scarf in the lane. But most likely, I'm assuming their last pick will be focused around Koshka. And this is where they play so well, especially banning out this Vox who has the ability to 1v3 against melee compositions. Look for them to build very tanky and a lot of sustain.
Just a general question. We actually see a lot of those draft openers which are Arden or Sky. My question to you, why do teams start with Arden or Ban if they go into a draft, especially here in this quarterfinals in VGL in North America? I mean, we have seen basically the same in Europe. Are those heroes like the most flexible to build a comp around?
Well, let's take a look at Arden first, and especially we do see a lot of teams that ban and pick first, and since they can only do one, it's more wise for them to be able to secure like a very diverse roamer and build a composition around that in terms of if they need to go very bursty early, they can counter pick against the other team, or if they have to go passive, Arden fits in very well with these kind of play styles. So picking Arden first actually opens up their possibilities to be able to counter the second team picking since they get 2 picks at the same time.
All right, and they do get Catherine and Glaive, so Team Penetrate coming into this match with Sky, Catherine and Glaive, Nemesis Hydra now having the last pick, which is the Koshka, together with Blackfeather and Arden. What are your thoughts just from the draft? Who do you see here will come out on top after this match?
So I had a big feeling about this, and exactly when we see that first pick, coming out with that Sky, followed up, if they were to put this Glaive up in lane, they actually benefit so well. So what they have is like a good balance in terms of the team composition. They have a very strong jungler, and they have a very bulky laner that in the late game, as long as he keeps bulking up, he can help this guy maneuver around the other team, being able to peel, being able to set up plays, and being able to make those early game ganks in the laning phase. But on the Nemesis Hydra team, they're running a composition that they're so familiar with. What we're going to expect from them is being very aggressive, building very tanky into the early game. And late game, we're going to be pretty much watching on how this Koshka is going to be using a Yummy Catnip Frenzy to lock down heroes, with Blackfeather coming in and trying to pretty much build up breaking point stacks and taking up the entire team on his own. Reflex blocks are going to be really important on this guy, and that's something we have to watch out for.
All right, thanks a lot for your analysis for this exciting match here, ladies and gentlemen. Team Penetrate, Nemesis Hydra, seed number 4 versus seed number 2, and the big question over Team Penetrate: how far can they go, or is this quarterfinals the station end? The answer: Tasty Bacon and Forecourt Jester.
The halcyon fold has begun.
All right, thank you, Blueberries. We are going to be getting onto the Halcyon Fold for our next quarterfinal game. As I mentioned, it is Nemesis Hydra taking on the team of... why did I just draw a blank? Team Penetrate, that's what it is. I get there eventually. Just sometimes it takes a little longer. But Tasty Bacon alongside Forecourt Jester as we are onto the fold. And we see already Hardek actually getting some really good damage out onto this Glaive to start things off. But with that, with the Tome, the Book of Eulogies in the inventory for both of these melee laners, he's just going to heal that up very quickly.
Yeah, Hardek with a lot of early poke, but if you can't seal the deal, I mean, a lot of that poke does kind of go the wayside as with that book. I mean, this is what we see with our melee mages or any kind of melee laners. You get the book, and it really does go a long way for your sustain. Now the 3-man gank is all set up here, but Team Penetrate just not the ones to get the better end of the deal. Now they're collapsing a bit on top of Lightning. The do want to get some damage on top of Care Package. You can see even Lost Boy Toph going so deep into that bush, still trying to provide that vision so we can take care of the Care Package. And well, one series strike is just not going to be enough. Lost Boy Toph with that aggression, it pays off, and a 2-0 early here for Nemesis Hydra.
Yeah, and that's 1 kill onto Lost Boy Toph, 1 kill onto Chicken. So that jungle duo going to be getting themselves a little bit ahead here in the early game. They immediately go into the jungle and look for an invade. They may be finding a bit of trouble, though, as Throne has found them. But with that Pouncy Fun, just going to actually jump out to safety. But here comes Lightning T trying to make something happen. And it does look like Nemesis is going to be able to get away with that one.
He didn't have the positioning. He was looking for a kickback from the afterburn in order to secure a kill, but it just didn't go far enough. And in terms of the jungle's clears, I mean, the speed is, I think, heavily favoring into Chicken 123 on that Koshka, already level 3. They put back Care Package a little bit. She did just level up now. But with that, if we can get into the 6, the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, it's going to be a great tool just to snipe out someone here in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they do with it. Lost by Toph, obviously, in this lane here, as you can see. Pulling Chicken up as well, just to make sure that their Blackfeather is able to farm up safely. Hardek, obviously, going to be looking to scale into that late game, just trying to pick off these minions for now and farming up. But, we mentioned it multiple times. This Blackfeather has joined Vox in the ranks of utterly horrifying things to be against in late game.
So Koshka, cleaned out the jungle, came to the lane, got level 5 out of it. Look at this collapse there from Lost Boy Toph, though. Lightning T has to use the afterburn to get to safety. He's level 3. We have that level 5 Koshka, remember, and now Hardek, with the help of the Lost Boy, they are going to be keeping Lightning T a bit more on his toes. The level advantages are really starting to show here for Nemesis Hydra, and that Koshka, as soon as she hits that 6 and comes to lane, if they're going to be sticking around anything under 75% health, I think it will be a rush down, and I think that could be a kill right there. But speaking of a kill, Lightning T, he will not get traded out. Lost Boy Toph just could not make it happen. Koshka finally coming back into this, but they will finally take down the Hardek, and it looks like it's going to be for scot-free here from the Penetrate.
Yeah, nice job by Penetrate, taking advantage of that, using the afterburn repositioning by Glaive to get that knockback onto Blackfeather and picking up a pretty solid kill there, get themselves on the scoreboard.
She's 6, Bacon. Chicken 123. It's level 6 in 4 minutes.
Yeah, that is the power of Koshka in the early game, just farming like crazy, able to level up very fast. Yummy Catnip Frenzy going to be available before reflex blocks are, and so we'll have to see if they can make use of this, as both Care Package and Throne are a bit low after a jaunt into the lane, and now Hardek, they're going in onto Lightning T.
Yeah, but Chicken is just way too far into the back. No Yummy Catnip Frenzy to really abuse at this point. He still is the only ultimate on the fold. We still only have level 5s. Care Package now off trying to do some counter jungling. Throne is doing the counter jungling. It's Care Package checking out his own backs, and while everybody has split, a decent gold payout will go to Nemesis Hydra basically for free. Here comes Toph here and Hardek, and this could be actually the kill from Lightning, especially if he goes that far for it. And now Lightning T, he's going to be paying for that one. And Lost Boy Toph, one more shot, he will live. And again, like the rest of his team is just to the ends of the fold here. They're picking up both sets of jungles, but they're losing lane presence and probably this turret for their trouble.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be the turret going down for Nemesis. So getting a nice chunk of gold here in just the first 5.5 minutes. Always nice to have that map open up of 2. It just lets you make so many more movements around the, this middle of the map. We can make plays on the gold mine significantly easier because you don't have to worry about the extra damage coming in from that first turret just beyond the lane brush. So a nice move by Nemesis. Even if they were having their jungle stolen away, you'll gladly trade away your jungle, even if it's your entire jungle, to pick up that first turret.
Alright, so the gold miner seems to be an object of interest right now. We have all of Team Penetrate just in and around this area. They were doing some shopping. They did trade some blows back and forth. But with the gold miner as that objective, I mean, it's not really huge on the scales right now. I mean, he just hit the quarter mark. We got more or less 2.5, 3 minutes or so until we can get into that payout range. So they got time, and they should really just be looking to defend and soak and get those ultimates online. We do have Care Package and Lightning T finally hitting that level 6, but Chicken and Hardek, I still think, are leading the experience and the money when it comes to their respective roles.
Yeah, definitely. They are both just a bit ahead. Obviously, now Care Package has hit 7, so Lightning T is also at that 6 mark, like you mentioned. But With Lost by Tough, he's getting close to 6 as well, which means the gauntlet will be available. And now they're looking for a fight right by this second turret. This is very dangerous, but they get 1 kill. Yummy Cat and Frenzy goes in, but gets blocked. But Nemesis is just really going hard on this one, and Hardek is going to be the one paying for it, sticking around just a little bit too long. I'm not quite sure if that was actually a worthwhile engagement going for that turret dive.
Yeah, 1 for 1. If you're behind and you can trade out evenly, it will be bringing you back into this game closer to that parity mark because you're going to be getting not only better gold because they're higher level, but they're all as well the bounties into this one. Now they didn't get Koshka, and Koshka right now is sitting at 202, but the death does go on top of Heartache. And after they got their first kill, I think they would have just been absolutely fine just to back out, reset, go get the jungles, for example. But they did go deep under that turret, and again, like, they had level 6 so very quickly from the Koshka. I didn't really see it get abused. They might not have actually known about the reflex block, or well, the block at any rate, for Care Package, because that was a pretty clutch maneuver from him.
Yeah, definitely a nice job with that reflex block to avoid getting stunned up by the Yummy Cat and Frenzy. Of course, who knows if that Yummy Cat and Frenzy connects, that's also going to be forcing Chicken123 to be stuck under the turret for a while, so maybe they would have gotten another kill out of it. But it's definitely going to be something to keep our eye on throughout the rest of the game, because Care Package, as long as that reflex block is up, can't be targeted by that ultimate, or it's just going to be wasted every time.
Every time. Now, Chicken is sitting at level 9. We do got still about 3,000 gold into the pockets here of Nemesis Hydra in terms of a lead. We do got backs and jungles now spawning pretty much everywhere, and Chicken and Lost Boy Toff are on the hunt. We cannot really say the same, though, from Team Penetrate. They might be looking for a collapse on top of Hardek, but now he's back over that half mark. He's on his side of the map, and if we go too far deep here from Team Penetrate, they have no turret to fall back on, and they're very hesitant to make that happen.
Yeah, they don't want to get too far extended, though the gold mine is going to be paying out very soon. They need to make a play on this if they want to try and take it, but it doesn't look like they're going to, as the immense gold payout does happen. So 300 gold each going over to Nemesis Hydra, and it's a lot of both of these teams moving as units, as a single unit, but not really accomplishing anything. They've just kind of been dancing around for the last couple of minutes. And Nemesis, they're definitely ones that need to make something happen because they have the lead, and now it looks like they're going for it.
Oh, big silence, but it doesn't stop that gauntlet going down. Now Lightning and crew, looks like they're still trying to collapse, but it's Lightning T that gets focused down. He's out of there. Care Package split in one way, thrown into the other. Hardek is chasing down hard with those heartthrobs. He actually pick this up? He will, and it looks like Sky as well to fall on this other side of this map, and that is going to be a quick 3-0 and an ace going down into the Nemesis Hydra crew. Now with a creep wave moving up, this is a dead turret.
Yeah, Hardek actually didn't quite get the healing buff to kick in because of the fact that he was still under the turret when the ace happened. So the last turret shot hit him, and he didn't get any healing, and actually goes very low thanks to that scout trap, but is going to be able to get away and recall back to base without getting caught. A little bit close because of lightning, but there goes Afterburn in onto Chicken. Here comes Death from above, but it's not really going to lock up anyone. Wow. However, this is still a 3-on-2, but Care Package is the one who's looking a bit worse for wear as the Gold Miner is getting involved.
Yeah, the Gold Miner in Koshka, she's just waiting for those cooldown resets. Remember, Hardek could actually be lurking anywhere at this point as well. And in a 2v3 situation with a favorable engage from Team Penetrate, they still were not able to secure a single kill. And they will remain here at 7-2 and down about 6,000 or so. Getting that Gold Miner involved has been pretty clutch for some of these fights that we've been seeing here, at least on NA today.
Yeah, right now Nemesis is just definitely looking like the stronger team thus far. This Koshka and Arden in the early game have really taken control, which is really nice for someone like Hardek on this Black Feather because of the fact that it lets him just safely farm because he's not the one who all the attention is on. Obviously, Chicken123 is going to be the big target on his back because of sitting at 4-0-2. And there's going to be another engage coming through. The afterburn to get out, but that will not be saving Care Package. And now that may not be saving Lightning either, as they have just dove straight into the base. And on the steps, Hardek picks up the kill. That is going to be an ace secured for Nemesis. And this is the second time now that Hardek had to sit around and wait for his team to get up to the turret so that he could go back in with them.
It's like, there's no way he's going to charge the turret. It's this little dance really tickled me pink. But again, like, a big split really did happen during that. As soon as somebody goes down, the team splits both ways, and they die in opposite corners of this map, and ultimately to no avail. The second minion mine's now going to go into Nemesis Hydra's pocket. Another turret, another ace, and wow, just under 10,000 gold between these teams. This is not even the 13-minute mark. Bacon, we're starting to get some pretty heavy items now completed, and we can't even go for a Kraken yet.
Yeah, 3 items completed for Hardek. Looking at 4 items actually completed, I believe, or I might be wrong. Yes, I am wrong. That is only 2 items for Chicken.
Man. Yeah, they just take down the sky immediately. Chicken with the yummy catnip frenzy. Goodbye, throne. And again, another flawless kind of fight coming out here. Hardek doing a dance in front of those turrets. All right, guys, come on, catch up. We got to do this. I don't even know where their creep wave is. They're just going to go under it without the minions. The minions are not going to be showing up anytime soon, but they have the damage, and that's another turret.
Yeah, that's only 1 crystal turret remaining for the defense for Team Penetrate, but it's not looking very good for them right now. Nemesis Hydra is just showing why they were such a strong team at the fall season live championships, and you know, they kind of want a bit of redemption themselves for what happened at the live finals. Obviously, they felt like they were a team to beat. They looked like one, but they're once again trying to put that showing together.
The legend of Lost Boy Toph and his amazing dance moves, not only on the fold, but outside as well. I mean, yeah, that was basically the best games I think I've ever seen out of him. He made so many clutch plays, but by the end of it, yeah, with that blind pick, game number 5, they did drop it, but still not dropping a game here yet. 12-2, and now looking for more. Lightning T just gets absolutely annihilated. That was again another big catnip frenzy, and Chicken, he's just going to be chasing down Throne. Nowhere really to go. No kill on the steps for Care Package this round. But where is that minion wave? It is ways too far back. No ace to help them out this round. And without that Koshka, I don't think they can take out this turret by themselves. Not with Care Package there to take care of it.
Yeah, double infusions for both Lost Boy Toph and Hardek, and now that the minion wave is getting in here, they're going to look to try and end this, but that's a really nice death from above. However, they can't get anything off of it, and this is going to be Nemesis. They do finally lose 1, they finally lose 2, but it's not going to be enough, as Lost Boy Toph is the last man standing, as we are so accustomed to seeing, but this time it's with the Vein Crystal shattered in front of him. So Nemesis Hydra picking up the victory in game number 1 of this best of 3 series, looking extremely dominant.
It's something to say that at the very end of it, with the crystal shattered, we were able to double the amount of kills from Team Penetrate in the last few seconds. That is a pretty one-sided story, if you ask me. Hardek coming in with 7,600, actually beating out Chicken, who had the 7 kills and 103 compared to the 5 and 122, but man, were these guys ever rich.
Yeah, and the other neat thing about this Nemesis Hydra team is, you know, usually when you see at the endgame screen of the gold, there's one player that just has far above and beyond more gold than everyone else. All 3 members of Nemesis Hydra were in the 7,000 gold range. Every single one of them. I mean, Lost Boy Toph on his roaming Arden was only 89 gold behind Chicken, his jungler. So they spread the gold around so evenly on this side of Nemesis. So, Rome, why don't you go ahead and take us away, walk us through that game.
Like, Nemesis Hydra pretty much executed out their entire composition really well this game. We noticed they both had, 2 of them had Fountain of Renewals, which helped them so much, especially from transitioning this Black Feather into the late game. Like we've seen how they play before. We know they're very consistent. We know they know their character limitations, where they can dive, they can make plays, and they can get out in time. What Team Penetrate did, like that, they do have to pay attention to and work on, is even though they put this glaive up in the lane, he can't expect to outdamage this Blackfeather, considering Blackfeather's kit has so much. He has evades, he has slow, and he has gap closers. So what Glaive should have done was build towards more of a tanky composition, in which tanky itemization, in which he's able to help this Sky in the jungle out. Like Sky was supposed to be their primary damage dealer, but in the late game, all he did was just get doved on and eliminated exactly right when Chicken would jump on him. They would throw down the gauntlet from Lost Boy Toph and just taking him out of the picture. Their main damage dealer was pretty much left to rust. Coming to this second game here, Team Penetrate, they have to look at Nemesis Hydra. They have to see what kind of team compositions they build around. I, for one, would actually either target and ban out this Arden, or I would ban out this Koshka, because we do see a lot of their gameplays, and a lot of their compositions are built around Koshka. You know that's going to be one of their first go-to picks, and to get them out of that, forcing them onto another hero like Glaive or like Kestrel, you do have way more room to work with in the early game. But yeah, over to the guys in Germany. We'll run through this draft, and hopefully we see an awesome game coming out of Team Penetrate for the second match.
Thank you very much, Rome. Going into the next draft here, we have the bans, at least the first ones. The Nemesis Hydra is going to ban, as far as I see, the Ringo. So Ringo is out, and Team Penetrate, what is their answer, Dungeon?
I got the answer thinking, which is totally fine. So they are thinking about that ban at the moment, and as soon as we have it, I will give you the update.
Alright, so this is the ban. Let's talk a little bit about what Team Penetrate should adjust from their picks. Rome, what do you think? How can they beat such a strong enemy here like Nemesis Hydra?
These guys are going to have to take them out, focus primarily on their jungle. Like we saw with Lightning T compared to Hardik, although they were losing a lot, their farm and CS levels was similar, and their hero compositions turned out to be similar. You had Glaive against Blackfeather, who's both melee, does take some time to ramp up, but seeing as they did have a Glaive that last game, they should have taken more advantage of that, trying to go down, make plays, or trying to have their team come up to lane and make the plays. Especially with Catherine and Sky, they're able to burst down Blackfeather a lot, especially during the early levels. And then you're looking at against their junglers, which usually actually switches between Hardik or Chicken. You know they're going to play very aggressively, or you know they're going to try and get a composition that does give them that early game advantage. Focusing on bans and picks like that will help your team out in the long run. Even if you're targeting out this Arden and forcing Lost Boy Toph to go on another hero like Catherine or something, like Catherine or Adagio or Finn, it actually works out a lot better for you, because you know that they do have this tendency to actually dive, to go too far too deep, and without Arden there, you're able to capitalize on such mistakes instead of having a Vanguard always to helping them get away, helping them to zone out their opponents. Banning out Arden is not bad, but I prefer to ban out this Koshka here.
And that is what they did. They do ban out Koshka, and instantly Nemesis Hydra is stating the Vox pick. So we do have a Ringo banned from Nemesis Hydra, the Team Penetrate banning Koshka as Rome was predicting, and now Nemesis Hydra picking Vox, answered by Penetrate with Celeste and Catherine.
So with Lightning T, I didn't want to mention this earlier, but I think he has two heroes that he has mastered really well, and I really commend him on when I do see him in ranked matches, which one of them is Ringo, and the second one is that Celeste. So we're going to expect a lot of nice plays coming out of him here. And to be able to build a team composition around this, they're going to have to be very wise in their last pick. They want to make sure that their jungle duel gives them enough Vanguard pressure, or enough of the frontline pressure, that they can fend off their enemies, to be able to make those types of plays where they're not so easily dove upon. And as long as this Celeste is able to live, she'll be able to do so much damage as long as she hits those skill shots on the Valks.
Okay, filling up the picks here. It's going to be an Arden, and it's going to be a Taka for Nemesis. Rounding up the roster of Team Penetrate is the Glaive. So any final thoughts before we are heading into the fold, Rome?
With the Taka, Celeste does have like a very good advantage over Taka, considering her auto attacks does reveal this Taka. But with Chicken playing Taka, we do know that he's an expert Taka player, and he's been playing Taka for various patches. We have to make sure that if I was on Team Penetrate, I would make sure as the Glaive to always position myself where I'm in range of an afterburn to peel when this Taka X rescues on my Celeste. And as long as this Celeste lives, once she hits her power spec at level 8, gets that overdrive onto her heliogenesis, she's able to poke from far away. And as long as we can keep her up and alive, make sure her positioning is right, we can probably end up winning a lot of team fights.
Okay, thank you very much, Rome. As we are jumping into the Halcyon Fold, I'm throwing it over to Full Court Jester and Tasty Bacon. Take it away, guys.
All right, so back into it all. Nemesis Hydra looked really good in game number 1. And, you know, Lost Boy Top still on that Arden Tasty Bacon. Who knows what memories will be made.
Yeah, hopefully we can see some of those crazy last-ditch saving team plays for coming out of this Rome Arden for Lost Boy Toff. But with Chicken on this Taka, you know, like Rome was kind of talking about, it's something that can definitely be countered by this team that Penetrate has put together. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Obviously, really the only target for an instant deletion type of situation that Taka loves to go for would be onto Lightning T on this Celeste, because Glaive is just a little bit too survivable, and obviously you're never going to be able to get a completely one-shotting burst down a Catherine, except for in the early game. But right now, onto Lightning T they do go. Not quite enough for a kill, but definitely showing that they want to have some of this really early aggression.
Yeah, it's a little early, I think, to expect a kill. We got no tension bows. The Taka needs a little bit of time to get going, but Hardek with that Vox should be able to just kind of deal with Lightning T after that. Now you see Lost Boy and Throne as well, leaving both of our junglers here to solo out. And, you know, with Lightning T on that Celeste, Rome said that this is one of those heroes that he has mastered. Gotta say, he didn't really get a ton of work done with that Glaive in the last round, not like what we saw with Call the Meek. So I'm very curious to see what he can do in the hands of a ranged mage.
Yeah, it should be a very different animal coming out of Lightning T this time around. But they do still have the Glaive, because obviously an Afterburn can just set up so many good fights, especially when you have someone who's ranged like the Vox that you want to just punt into your team. But thus far, it is Nemesis, the one that's just been winning each of these trades that have started up.
Now, as well, I mean, this is, what, I think the second or third time that we've actually seen a Taka. Yesterday, we saw Von Menace with Von C just do absolutely amazing work up against Kestrels. Now, if Chicken can do anything even close to that, this is going to be a heck of an upward battle here for Team Penetrate. Now, Chicken thought maybe we could actually have the movement speed, the positioning for Lightning T. Doesn't quite work out this time, but keep a very close eye on him to see how quickly he can get that tension bow.
Yeah, not only going to be how quickly he can get intentional, how quickly he can get to that level 6, as a second game in a row for Chicken, that the level 6 is absolutely integral to the hero he's playing. Obviously with the Kashka in game 1, and then Taka with the X Retsu is just a huge part of that burst and the damage that he can put out in these team fights.
Alright, so still a little bit more lane aggression. Team Penetrate here to keep Lightning T very safe. The farm is actually 22 to 24, so it's going back and forth very nicely. Chicken will find that stealth and goes right into Celeste's face. That's going to be the first blood right there. And now pushing up with Nemesis Hydra. Could they be going for the counter? They're looking for care package. They're going to notice the forwards aren't there. They still can actually pick up this one. The backs are there, but I don't think they have the positioning really to contest it.
Yeah, you don't want to go too aggressive with that setup, because obviously Glaive is going to be able to keep himself alive for a decent amount of time, and with the Celeste respawning, as soon as you show your face, Celeste can just move her way on down to help out with that, and it could have gone sour very quickly. So wisely, they choose to just take that one forward healing camp and then retreat back to their own half of the map and get some solo farm onto this Taka, as Lost Boy Toph is hanging out in the lane.
And again, yeah, the solo farm is the integral part. There's the level 6 that we were looking for. This round, Team Penetrate not really fallen too behind when it comes to the levels. We don't have a 6 for them yet, but the Xretsu is there. And at this point, it is only level 4 for Lightning T. He's not leveled up, doesn't have a lot of defense ready to go. Hardek is sort of stuck here in this lane, though. He has to deal with this push-up. And now with Chicken, he's just going to be scouting around the flare there into that bush. Are we actually looking for the gold mine? It doesn't look like it. Team Penetrate just kind of safety in numbers mentality this early on.
Yeah, they don't want to get caught off with one person on their own, because that is obviously exactly what Taka is going to be looking for in the early stages of the game. Now that he has hit level 6, he does have the Xretsu available. That's going to be a major threat. So really smart of them to be moving together. But even when they are together, that's just an instant kill onto Lightning T, just as we were talking about earlier.
Chicken has that tension bow. His farming has really paid off. Xretsu in tension bow, and of course the chitin. You just eliminate squishies, and now if they can do that time and again, this early game advantage is going to start really rolling into their favor. And you can see Chicken, he's going to be the guy actually now looking to scout out. If care package comes anywhere close, you can expect him to get jumped. He does have that level 6 now. Ooh, here comes Lightning T. Chicken is still just gonna be dedicated here on top of care package, but the gold mine's still taken away here as well. It will still, however, go over to Nemesis, Hydra, and Toph. Low hit points, but he looks like he's gonna get out. And Chicken, I'm not too sure about this. Does he have that Kaku ready to go? Not even close, but he does have boots and dodge, and there's the Kaku ready there.
Yeah, and not only that, but Chicken also just having the extra move speed thanks to the heroic perk of Taka, and so he's able to get away. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it is Hardek going at it with Throne. Lightning is going to try and chase him down, finish this one off, and will instead just settle for securing their own forward healing camp. But Hardek says, you know what? While I'm here, I might as well take this back one for my troubles. So stealing away a bit of gold in the backside of the jungle. Nice job by Hardek to not only survive and almost pick up a kill, but then just realize the position he's in and where everyone else is on the map and making the most of his situation.
So that's what I would definitely put as some good play. So if you come in here with a kill, you take an objective. That's what happened. We took out the Celeste, took the gold mine. Now, it wasn't exactly a clean take, but at the same time, Hardek went, and with that pressure, he was able to take away backs as well. Look at the gold difference between these teams. It's coming up to 1.5 K or so, looking to push out even farther here from Nemesis Hydra. So if they can continue getting these big snipes out using the power of this early game Taka, they're going to have to try to extend that more and more, because this is the only tool they got to keep this going. And there's Lightning T, exactly what we were just talking about here. The big snipe goes out. We get a kill. You can already see Chicken and Toph. They're going straight into this jungle. They get a kill, and now they're taking away farm from the opponents. Hardek's able to push up the lane. It keeps Team Penetrate here in this lane very busy. There's no chance at a counter, and this is just going from good to better to, well, very close to best coming up here from the Nemesis crew. Now Chicken has all those cooldowns ready to go. Lost Boy Toph is not really afraid to fight this one out. Chicken might be separated from the crew, but it's only for a moment. The Xretsu comes in. That's going to be the gauntlet. Care package. Can he actually get out from the cage? He cannot. That's going to be a kill. They're going to find Throne on that as well. Hardek picks that one up. And the Chicken, he's just going to go all in. He's looking for Lightning. They get the ace. He's going to be under fire from the tower, but oh, that's so close and clutch. He gets out. Doesn't even need that Vanguard. And Hardek and crew, 6-0 so far.
Yeah, 6 kills in their favor. And unfortunately for Lightning T, it's not that he's, out of position or anything on this Celeste. It's just that I mentioned it before. He's the squishiest member of this team that's going to be the target for Chicken on this Taka, and it's what has been. 4 of the team's 6 deaths belong to Lightning T, and it's just a matter of the fact that Taka is targeting him and saying, you know what? You're the one that I can blow up from full, so you're the one that I'm going to blow up from full, and they make any fight essentially a 3-on-2 as soon as it starts.
We've tripled the gold lead, and there's really no safe positioning here for anyone. Not with the threat of Chicken here, still very viable here in this early game. Now you can see he's trying to trade out here with Care Package, and arguably actually got the better of those trades. We have a gold mine with Candy, and that is going to be a payout within the next minute or so. And we went from a K.5 to now something close to 3? 4? It's even growing just as we speak. That's going to be another 900 gold into the coffers here. And Nemesis Hydra's early game, could this be the snowballing lead that they need to solidify a 2-0 to move on to the semis?
It definitely looks like it might be, and I really just like their play style that they've just opted for here. Both games running with that really strong early game jungler and then a hyper late game carry in the lane, and then just using that early game jungle to snowball the laner to advance to that late game stage quicker than usual, as we do see Chicken once again just popping that Kaku mostly just for scouting purposes. Able to say, you know what, I don't know where the enemy team is. I'm going to pop this and go see if they're in this brush right here. Once he sees that they're not there, he just takes away the camp and then retreats again because, you know, it's by process of elimination. If they're not in any of those mid brushes, you know they're not in the back of your side of the jungle. You know that they're still fairly deep on their own side of the map, so you don't want to advance any further.
During all this as well, Hardek has frozen the lane. It was so heavily pushed up against him. He's denied so much farm and so much experience to this team. The gauntlet goes down, catches 2. Chicken goes into the back. They're looking for Lightning T, and they're not going to get him. Not this time. Care Package will live out the solar snipe. Well, all right, 2 out of the 4. Chicken now, he's going to find prey. He catches 1, nearly finds the double. Glaive was actually able to go home safely. Vox from Hardek just chasing around Throne, but still favorable engages going the way of Nemesis. What an engage. They forced the crew of Team Penetrate so far forward, had no turret to fall back to, froze the waves, and something you said really resonated, you know, using this early game advantage to get that laner ahead. Hardek's at 111 creeps, 65 to Lightning T.
Yeah, that's a huge difference, and not only that, but then the 5 assists and a kill that Hardek has to his name, whereas Lightning T has been completely kept off the scoreboard in that regard. The entire team of Penetrate has been kept off the scoreboard as far as kills are concerned, and right now it's Nemesis Hydra. They're just going to be looking to continue to keep this pressure on, continue taking away gold from the side of Penetrate, and starve them out until the game is over. We got 3 minutes until the Kraken. I feel like the Nemesis will be waiting for that Kraken before they really make a huge play to try and end the game. But once they do have that Kraken, they very likely can end the game.
Something to note here is, despite the fact that so far it's a perfect game for Nemesis Hydra, 7-0, no turrets, and basically everything is coming up aces. Look at how many scout traps are down in that middle area. You could not sneeze in and around the gold mine without a scout trap going off, and that is such huge control, keeping Team Penetrate there on their side. There's nothing for a steal, but there is a good chance for a fight when you push out. Hardek almost caught out into that one. Glaive going deep for the kill. Throne looking for stuns and control, but he gets neither, and Lightning T still can't kill Hardek. The Vanguard from Lost Boy Top kept him going as well, denies the 3-for-1. It goes 3-0, and the perfect game continues with an ace here for Nemesis Hydra.
13-0. The gold lead is just continuing to balloon out of control, as it is now eclipsing the, or just about to eclipse the 8,000 gold mark. They're going to pick up this turret, which will bring it up to near the 9,000 gold mark at 13.5 minutes in. And Nemesis Hydra, they are just completely in control of this one.
Team Penetrate is going to have a heck of a time just trying to push out past their last defensive line, which is that turret in the choke point. Care Package is going to get a reprieve here. He does pick up his back. Some very much needed income going into his pockets, but this is basically a 3/4 map control situation for Nemesis Hydra. Again, there's so many traps out and about as well. Lost Boy Toph has not been slouching on his duties, and I mean, there's no red to go with the green, but my word, the control is basically an iron fist at this point.
And like I said, you can use that process of elimination to say, all right, we have all this vision on the map, so we know exactly where they are not. And so there's only so many places that the enemy team can still be at that point. So really, Nemesis could just kind of walk around the map freely because they know where Penetrate is just by knowing for sure where they aren't.
So there's still a minion mine, just kind of just under here, Care Package. They do control it. It has not gone over to the wary of Nemesis yet. We did just have an immense gold payout, and as you said, we might be waiting for that Kraken. Well, he's due to arrive here in 10 seconds or so. Lost Boy Toph will find Throne. Lightning T, well, we just saw the Glaive actually head on home. Hardek is going to get some poke here as well. Glaive not really too far away at this point. Tiny gold payout as the Kraken does enter. But can we even contest here from Team Penetrate?
Not sure. Nemesis, they look like they're just going to clear out this jungle once again. I would expect them to grab this minion mine and then make their way over to Kraken. Obviously, again, they still have this great vision control. They know where Penetrate is going to be. They just spot all three of them with that flare, and they can just sit around and force them to come in. They have to check this Kraken, and that's where they find Throne, and now the fight is going to be on.
Well, the Gauntlet, I think, actually only caught Lightning T, but it keeps Throne and Care Package in the danger zone in 1 and 2. Can we get the triple, the hat trick, and the ace? All goes to Hardek's favor. 3 and 0, another ace, 13 and 0, as predicted by the Bacon. And a 15-minute Kraken. I think we're looking at the endgame scenario, my friend.
Absolutely. Looking at Hardek sitting with an alternating current, the Broken Myth, and a Shatter Glass completed. His lane opponent, Lightning T, only has the Broken Myth for a full tier 3 item completed. So that is just such a massive difference as they go in. They take that choke point turret, the third one there, and now the Kraken will be making its way down the base with only 2 turrets left to defend the crystal for the side of Penetrate.
And in terms of the gold leads, I think this is the largest one we've seen this weekend. We're looking at 12,000 gold between these teams. Now, if you can take down the Kraken, that'll shorten up a good bit. But Chicken, he's looking forward. He's looking for Lightning T. Lightning T is not giving him any opportunity, just going right back to that base area. But look at how low even Throne gets. That roam is just not really a force to be reckoned with. The 2v3 defense, well, Throne's getting back into it. Hardek's a big focus, but the shield, the snipe goes wide, and Hardek is kiting to his heart's content. That is it for Throne. Care Package drops. We go ridiculous, and the Vein Crystal shatters. This is a 2-0 and a fantastic game coming out from Nemesis Hydra.
And Nemesis securing themselves a spot in the semifinal, now joining Gangstar Sirius and Alliance. We've got one more spot to gain in the semifinals. That's going to be coming up next. But before we get over to that, Rome, perfect game coming through from Nemesis Hydra. How did they do it?
They executed out their composition really well this match, and we have to take a look at this because we've only been seeing Fox and Taka, especially looking at Taka. Taka's been run maybe probably 4 times in this entire tournament between both regions. And the news of Taka is a lot of people think he's out of the meta, but once we're getting into this stage of competitive play, with the introduction of draft picks in 1.14, you have to know which type of heroes and compositions that you want to build around. What they did really well here was they looked at the other team and they saw with this Glaive, with this, especially around this Celeste, being a mage, your first idea is how quickly can we burst her down, and what's the best hero to do that? Like under Taka's profile, he's an assassin, and that's exactly how Chicken 123 played him today. He's able to go either weapon, and with that weapon build, opting out and getting that tension bow first gives you that early game advantage where you start to spike at level 5, and once you hit level 6, it just makes you that much more dangerous. And with yesterday, we saw Von C playing that Crystal Taka against Kestrel. That was amazing gameplay on their part, but we're looking at moving forward into this competition, and like what a lot of teams have to start taking into consideration, the ones that are remaining, is building up compositions and making sure that your hero pool is very big is probably the first start. Being able to learn every single single hero's mechanics, making sure that you understand their kit fully, is probably like the best way to up your game to a different level. And then, so what can we expect coming out of Nemesis moving on to like this match next week? We're seeing them like how they've been running a bunch of different compositions. They've opted out for later game compositions around scarves, around skies, where they're learning how to pretty much minimize their mistakes or taking advantage of how their team compositions are built. They executed this game out really well, especially getting a full-on ace from start to finish. We didn't see any mistakes from them. Like, especially you're looking at Taka, who's also very squishy, but because they played him so well, they knew exactly when to position, when to hop in, and those crucibles coming out of Lost Boy Toff this game was excellent and on point. Like having a strong roamer on your team, being able to stand out front, taking up all that aggravation, and calling out those plays that overall in the end, along with that vision, give you that advantage before initiating any team fight. So looking forward to this one next week, especially with Nemesis coming back. They almost won first place at the North America Championship, so this is their chance to regain themselves. This is their chance for them to stand at the top.
Alright, thank you very much, Rome, for the analysis here. And of course we have another matchup coming up, so over 1,000 viewers are hungry for the next quarterfinals. So let's jump over into the scene and look what's next. Von Menace, seed number 1 from the Ringo bracket, facing Kinetic, seed number 6. So this is the roster we have seen yesterday. Rome, the fabulous plays from Von C. That was just immense. I think we have seen outstanding play here. So for everyone who missed that, Rome, what happened yesterday, and because of that, what do we have to expect here from the matchup Von Menace versus Kinetic?
Yesterday, what Von did really well was they're pretty much showing up the competition that the strategic mind behind all their great synergy, all their coordination, and their mechanical skills is how they approach the game. And like I was just talking about with that Nemesis game, was these guys and Von, they know exactly how to draft up compositions based on what their opponents are playing. From the first game yesterday, we saw they gave the other team Kestrel. They're like, that's totally fine with us. They gave them Sky. And to counteract with that, they start building out, and they opted out for that first game was the Crystal Taka. And Crystal Taka is something that you don't see too often. Although I think with his kit, with that the CP ratios in his kit, he does a way better job of being able to burst down solo targets. And because of this, although he doesn't have that great sustain in terms of how he can stay around in a team fight, his cooldowns are so short where after he uses all his abilities, he just has to use that auto attack, get that movement speed out, and just pretty much juke it out, box it, and then come back and do the exact same thing over again. He can dive turrets. If you're counting out his Kaitan, if you time it out properly, you're allowed to invade every single skill in the entire hero pool. And then in the second game, okay, Von C, we'll look at him primarily and how he played that Taka. He played that Kestrel.
Yep.
people have been opting out today in EU and in NA. First item they're either building is a tension bow or a sword blade. With that tension bow first, that's great. When after using your arrows, you still have like a quick amount of burst damage, but that's about it. You're counting on one shot every 6 seconds just for that amount of damage. So that's an item that I don't really encourage, especially for Kestrel's kit.
All right.
And with Sorrow Blade, you do have like more damage over time that you can use for auto attacks. This is great, and this is probably one of the core items when building a weapon Kestrel. But the items that he got afterwards was the one that people started to question. They don't really get, and looking at that, he started building piercing, and he built double items that were piercing.
Yep.
They did this really well because he was able to focus all his damage output into his first ability, and with his ability to use his B, he was able to pretty much reposition himself, wait for him to reload, and then do that damage thereon afterwards. Today, when they're fighting Kinetic, with the roster of Fear Poseidon, Bonfire, Yukibiri, and another Bonfire, Husky Rocks, and Bowser, this is a team that has been doing pretty well in this tournament. But coming to this one, they have to be prepared. Like, how can they go up against probably one of the best teams in North America? Their play styles, it has to be very rotation-wise. That's something they have to concentrate on. Being able to pick a laner with an advantage helps them out a lot. It gives them that opportunity to come down, match up with Vaughn's quick rotations, and trying to at least battle it out 3v3 instead of like getting caught out 3v2. But overall, I think they do have a chance. They just have to play really smart, and they have to be more focused on team-wide coordination instead of them just trying to juke it out, making plays on their individual skills.
Okay, I have to jump in here. Apparently, we will sadly not stream this matchup back to Facecam, back to us, because we have a family emergency on the Kinetic team, so they cannot show up with the full roster, and we just decided that we do not want to have them competing in the quarterfinals in a 2v3, which is, well, not fair, and also, I mean, emergencies can happen, so we will postpone this match. It will happen. It's not sure. Maybe today, maybe at some point during the week, we'll definitely inform all of you guys, so be sure to follow us on Twitter, and we will try, and not only try, we will stream that one as well. It is likely that that is going to be streamed on Exception's site, so just be sure to follow us on Twitter, and we will inform you about it. Super sorry, it's just something at one point we cannot control, and we want to provide, both teams a fair chance to get into the next round. And also, both teams agreed. Also, Von did agree to postpone this matchup.
Well, this is, of course, great sportsmanship here from Von Menace. And luckily, we have that week time until Saturday. So we have all the week starting from tomorrow until Saturday where they can actually play. So we will figure something out with the teams in the meantime. And yeah, I think we should take a look at the semi-final brackets for Saturday before we are going. So let's take a look into that. Here we go. We have everything set up. Gangster Series is facing either Von Menace or Kinetic, depending on who's going to win. This is the match we were just talking about, and then we have another Seed 1 versus Seed 2, which is Nemesis Hydra versus Alliance. So that is the match I quickly wanted to talk about. Rome, Nemesis Hydra versus Alliance. We have just seen here the good performance, or I don't know, like good is not even the good word. I mean, outstanding performance from both teams. What do we expect here to see, or what can we expect here to come from Alliance and Nemesis Hydra?
This is gonna be like looking back about how they've been doing well so far, and the thing about Nemesis Hydra is I do see them more focused on a certain style of play compared to the other team where they're so strong throughout every single in every single category, and they have so much experience playing together. I think that Nemesis Hydra will have to step it up, or they'll at least have to come into this game with a plan. Looking at how Media Pixel opted out and they studied SK Prometheus today is a great example of this. They knew which strengths the other team has, and they picked up around that, and they knew how to play against it. So coming to that next match, Nemesis Hydra does have a lot of planning to do ahead of time, and they have to make sure they execute it out really well.
All right, thanks a lot. We are super excited to see this on Saturday. You don't want to miss it. Definitely not. So Gangster Series versus either Kinetic or Von Menace, Nemesis Hydra versus Alliance. And then on Sunday, we will have the third place match plus the finals, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the first qualifier for VGL North America. We are in the winter season, and of course everything, where does this end? The big question we can answer. It is the Live Championships in March, and this is where everyone wants to go, where the big money is, 25,000 US dollars. So I can't wait to meet everyone there. But in the meantime, we have a second qualifier up. Go to vaingloryleague.com, apply now. The top teams will get the spot, and the lower 32 teams who get actually into that second qualifier, they have to face the Amateur Series, the best 32 in a pre-match day. So it's a little bit tricky there. We are giving the Amateur Series the chance to make it from 0 to hero, which is pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, it is. And I believe that is going to wrap it up for today. We had awesome matches, a lot of people tuned in, and I hope you guys enjoyed your stay. And obviously a huge thank you to Rome, who did carry us through the analytics and the post-match analytics through Europe and North America. Also obviously to our beloved casters who already left us, Action Jackson and Vedius, and also Tasty Bacon and Forecourt Jester for the cast in North America. As Blueberry said, we will be back next Saturday, same time, same place. And for the postponed match, just to wrap that up again, make sure to check out Twitter and follow us here on Twitch, so you will get the notification when we jump online and show you the match between Von Menace and Kinetic.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the great support. My name is Blueberries, and this is Don John. We are out. Bye-bye.